What is this foolishness?
How many dreams can you shape in a minute, an hour?
The kind of clean you like best.
Lost 3 of my teeth, too. All right, so you lost. Next time you'll win.
Steamy, hot, hearty, delicious, invigorating.
Folks at home, how you doing tonight? Welcome to a brand new edition of the Ike Live Show. And guess what? We've got a good one for you tonight. Listen to me. If you're watching right now, if you like kayak fishing, you're going to enjoy this show. If you like fishing, period, for anything that bites, you're going to like this show. And if you ever dreamed of quitting it all to just go fishing, you're going to like this show. We've got two very special guests tonight. We've got the one and only Robert Field joining us. We also have Christina Fisher joining us tonight. It's going to be a good one. Want to let you know that this show is brought to you by a ton of great companies that make this happen every week. Want to run down them real quick. Of course, our presenting sponsor, Mystery Tackle Box. It's like your birthday. It's your doorstep every month. Flambeau, some of the best tackle storage systems in the world. Liquid Mayhem, TH Marine, Bash University. Great time to subscribe to Bash University if you're home quarantining right now. Tackle Warehouse, Torqeedo. Man, electric-only motors? Come on. Fastest motor in the world. Hobie Kayaks. Very fitting on tonight's show. Dr. Squatch. And last but not least, Founders Beer, which we're going to crack open here in 1 second.
Crack it.
This is on the recommendation here of Brian Carpenter. Opened the refrigerator up here in the barn, and I said, I'm in the mood for a darker, more full-bodied beer tonight. And there were two browns, Brian Carpenter.
Yes, Michael.
And you suggested the Frangelic Mountain Brown. Am I saying that right?
That's what it says, yeah.
Okay.
I like them both, but hey, get after it.
Okay, so we're going to be starting with that tonight. Founders is a great beer. I hope you're enjoying your Sunday evening as well. Thank you for coming and watching tonight. I hope you're going to have a good time. It's going to be a great show. Let me introduce the room. I'm going to start in a little reverse order, try to change our mojo, Brian Carpenter.
Okay.
Since you're already sitting over there anyway. Producing the show tonight, pushing buttons, the one and only Brian Carpenter, a.k.a. Ding Dong.
Hey, all right. Woo.
How you doing, Brian?
I'm good, man. We're here. We're doing this.
Cool.
Again.
I like it. Real quick, I just wanted to note that right before the show started, we were looking for a cable or some wire, and I saw that you were repurposing some of the memorabilia that's in the old studio.
That's right, yeah.
To go in your bar space, which is really cool.
Yeah. The memorial that we put together with the help of some friends for our dear friend Mark McCown.
Yes.
I feel like I should have that in my space.
I think it's a good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the golem that John McGraw made.
The original.
The original golem.
Yeah. Because there are several, but that's the original.
Yeah. So basically, it's a golem with my head on it. Thank you, John.
I like it. Looks pretty good. Let's finish introducing the cast tonight. I see two of the three here right now, so I don't know if the third one will pop up here in a second. But my co-host of the show, normally sitting next to me, now he's here via what's this called? Zoom Bait Company? I can't remember what this is called.
Yep.
The only great thing, I miss Pete sitting next to me. The only good thing I like about having Pete on Zoom and not sit next to me is it smells better without Pete here.
Come
Pete
on.
farts a lot. He toots a whole lot. He's Polish. He likes the kielbasa. He gets a lot of toots going on. I'm just busting your balls. the one and only the Dean Piccolo. He's like, Pete, how you doing tonight? Oh, he's got Dr. Squatch. He actually smells good then.
Man, I'm smelling super fantastic. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, we're just kidding you. How you doing, Pete?
No, I'm doing good. It's beautiful summer days. I'm watching fish get caught. Got some reports on the flats being on fire.
Ooh,
catching numbers, catching big ones.
Yeah.
And, I'm getting closer and closer to be doing that myself.
I like it. Speaking of fishing the flats, working IMs for us tonight, we've got Rich, a.k.a. Rizzo, a.k.a. Riz, who, Riz, you have silently have been sneaking up on Pete as one of the higher ups or authorities on the Upper Susquehanna River, Upper Susquehanna Bay, Chesapeake Bay area. What do you think about that?
Oh, my God. No way.
Come on, man.
No way. I'm still a greenhorn.
No, that's the word on the street.
I don't know what. I guess it's a small street with very narrow lanes, and certain people are walking up and down the sidewalk because the flats is a big body of water.
Wow.
No, I have been down there a little bit, and it's definitely getting right. It's a fun place to be this time of year for sure. You can catch them pretty much any way you want to.
Yeah. Speaking of Susquehanna Flats, interesting, Rich, that seems like the tournaments are starting back up. We've got one coming up this weekend on the Upper Chesapeake Bay. And, of course, I think Miss Rebecca is going to be up here a little later in the second segment to give us the full details. But if you're watching and listening right now, the good news is the Ike Foundation Celebrity Pro-Am still on for June 20th. On the Upper Chesapeake Bay, out at Northeast Creek, of course, Anchor Marine. A few adjustments to it, Pete, because of what's gone on. It had to be modified a little bit. But I'm excited that we're still able to put the tournament on. We're still able to, to generate some income and some steam for getting kids fishing, which is great, So I'm happy about it. So if anybody's wondering about it, go to ikefoundation.org. It's still on. Off the top of my head, I think a couple of the new things are 2 to a boat instead of 3. I don't believe there'll be a big festival attached with the tournament this year, but I'm excited that we're still holding it. So good news on that front. The other thing I wanted to mention too, and this came from a note from one of our guys here internally, is old Ike Live shows. You hear me talking about it every time and saying that, of course, you can go to IkeLive.com, you can go to iTunes, you can go to Stitcher. Here's some great news. If you're watching and listening right now, if you want to catch up with old shows, but you don't have all that other junk, you're a modern man, it's now available on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. That's exciting. Round of applause for Jason, who kind of was, and Rich too. Rich made that happen as well. Very exciting.
And Pete
as well.
Good job, Pete.
Thank you. Do what I can.
All right.
Just had a message. Speaking of Ike Foundation tournament, just had a message from our good friend John McGraw, who said, "Yo, Pep and I are a go for the Ike Foundation."
Oh, my God.
Wow. Tom Hernishin and John McGraw fishing together. That's going to be awkward.
Oh, my.
Wow.
Hey, Mike, what's the update on the pro participation? Do you have an update on that?
Yeah, so as of right now, Pete, I think...
it's a no participation.
I think, with everything that's going on, and again, it's still a month or so away, but... it seemed like the right thing to do to not put, a pro together with a random stranger. Just still, it still seemed like the right thing to do. So there is no pro angle to it this year. So this year, like Celebrity Pro-Am, there will be some pros there. There will be some celebrities sort of participating, but not necessarily in the capacity like we did the first 4 or 5 years where we're drawing, random people with the different pros and celebrities. So, the right thing to do is if you've been social distancing with a family member or with your friend, we're all creating these little circles now as it's starting to loosen up. So that's the right thing to do, is to go fish this tournament with someone that you've already created that circle with, So
Right.
I think that's the way we're going to run it. But here's the other good news, Pete. We've already got great reception. I think we had 30-some entries before all this madness happened. And once we announced it, I think it was last week we announced it, we sort of trickled it out there. We've been getting entries every day coming through. So it's going to be a good tournament. It's going to be packed. And here's the good news. You guys tell me, is June 20th a good time to be on the Upper Chesapeake Bay?
It's an amazing time. I mean, what to expect there. Now I haven't been, and I would love Riz to chime in on this, because he's been my eyes down there, and the grass is apparently growing extremely strong down there this year. So you got to be thinking the month of June is to 20th. You should be past the spawn, and it should be post spawn action. Lots of hungry bass out there, and then toward the end of June. Ought to be fun. Ought to be a good grass bite. What do you think, Riz?
I have to agree with you 100%, Pete. In my short term of time spent down there, which is 2 or 3 years, everything this year seems ahead of schedule. And compared to the last 2 years, I mean, we saw grass down there in the late part of the month of March. Is when the first we started seeing the first stalks of milfoil grass floating by. Nobody had really identified where it might have been yet, but everything is ahead of schedule. It seems that way anyway. So by June 20th, I'd say, get the frog rod ready, get the swim jig ready, and put a buff on, because it's going to be hot, it's going to be muggy, buggy, and they're going to be biting.
Yep. And the Bass University face shields are 50% off right now.
Oh,
That is right. Get down there, represent.
It's a good
Get
product.
covered up.
That's a good product to have. Let me remind everybody watching right now, of course, all the great sponsors that we ran down. We're giving great discount codes for all those companies. Use the promo code Ike Live for all of them, and you can find that information right on the Ike Live page. If you're watching over on Facebook Live right now, listen, this is your chance to win gold. Everybody in the fishing industry knows about this Ike Live gift bag. Feel that thing. Brian DeCarpenter, at least 20 pounds. Am I not mistaken?
That's right.
If I call click, click. This thing is becoming more famous than the Classic Trophy, the AOY Trophy, FLW Championship Trophy. Certainly way more important than the MLF Trophy. And if you want a chance to win this thing, all you have to do if you're watching over Facebook is like and share this feed. If you like and share the feed, Rich is going to randomly select a winner at the end of the show. Isn't that right, Rich?
Yo, dump that thing out, Mike.
Oh, you want me to dump it out? I don't even want to dump it. It's too heavy to dump out. I see MTB in here. I see Tackle Warehouse. I see Bass University. I see meat sticks from a company we might not be working with anymore. I see Liquid Mayhem. I see Flambeau. I mean, there's just too much. Tackle Warehouse gift card.
I'm eating them meat sticks tonight.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I can't even tell you.
It's loaded. And speaking of winners, Mike,
Ooh.
we actually have some Ike Foundation scholarship winners.
Oh, how about this?
How about that?
Yes.
Wow, what are we talking about?
And if now's a good time, I can announce who they are.
Wow, let's do it.
Samuel Ethan Collins of Zavala, Texas. Congratulations, you are an Ike Foundation scholarship winner.
Samuel.
Ryan Franks of Ravenna, Ohio. Congratulations, you're a scholarship winner. Aiden Anastario of Sterling, New Jersey.
Wow, Jersey in the house.
Scholarship
There you go.
winner.
Home cooking.
Jacob Knob of Barlow, PA. Congratulations. You are a scholarship winner. And finally, last but not least, Alyssa Newman of Newbury Park, California, is the winner of the Brenda Butanowicz Memorial Scholarship.
Wow.
Congratulations, Alyssa.
That's awesome. Alyssa, good job. Well,
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, what a cool thing, too. I knew about the memorial to Brenda, and Becky had talked to Senior.
Did she?
Yeah, earlier in the week, just to get his good graces, but he was excited about it. And it's great because she was so connected to the Ike Foundation in the start. She was so instrumental to helping us get it off the ground. If you go on the IkeFoundation.org, if you look at the photos on that page, I think all of the photos from the first 2 or 3 years of Ike Foundation, all Brenda's photos.
Yeah.
And she was actually, a fishing teacher as well as a science teacher back in the day. She had a fishing club at a high school, so it's really cool. But it's all come full circle now, and to have a winner with her name attached to it, it's really cool. And she's a female too. It's really cool.
I love it, man.
It's awesome.
Thank you so much for doing that, guys. Brenda was very important to all of us, and especially from my family. She was a big part of our lives for quite a while now.
Yeah,
so.
big time. Speaking of that, though, Pete, I did want to get your opinion on this real quick, and everybody chime in on this. It's awesome that we have these scholarships, and we've got all these recipients, and there's high school graduating seniors all over the world right now that are thinking, what do I do? With the way the world has shaped here in the last few months, are these kids going to be gone back to college? Are they going to take a different career path? They're going to say, do I even need to go to college? It's going to be a tough job market here in the next few years, I'm sure. Pete, what are your thoughts on this?
I see a lot of colleges in the news these days, and they're talking about having kids back on campus. Some are still in the wait and see mode. I don't know.
Yeah.
The kids that are graduating this year, I feel, going through that graduation after you're busting hump, you get through and you make it. And, you get to wear that cap and gown as crazy as it is, that you don't get to experience that.
Yeah.
I think that's, I think that's sad, but I see a lot of schools doing some really cool stuff. Like they're doing drive-by graduation.
Yeah.
Where kids are decorating cars and they're driving through, getting a, graduation ceremony in.
Yeah.
I think that's special. I think that's a wonderful thing that they're doing for these kids,
Yeah.
And I don't know what the future brings, but it seems like we're making a great stride. So I'm optimistic that the third quarter of this year, we're going to see some cool stuff, and I really hope that means kids get to go back to school.
Yeah, I do too. Let me remind you, if you're just tuning in to a brand new Ike Live show tonight, we've got a great show in store for you tonight. We've got the one and only Robert Field joining us here in the first segment, and then in the second segment, heard so much about this angler in the last few years in the kayak world. Christina Fisher is going to be joining us. Both of them have great stories, by the way. Want to also remind you, listen, we want to hear from you. Your input is so critical. Whether you're over on Facebook or if you're here on IkeLive.com, please hit us up on the IMs. We want to hear from you. Rich is going to be checking the IMs.
I think he's got some.
He's got some already that came through, and I'm going to be keeping up on the Facebook and Instagram messages as well. So, Rich, we got a few IMs. What do we got already?
We do. Our fan Buck Stronghold Gentleman Bronco would like us to know that if we cannot work things out with that old meat stick company, hit up old Buck and he'll hook us up with three quarter pounds of pure Kentucky sausage that we'll never forget.
Wow. Old Buck, please send through your information. We won't put it through. We want to get some of that meat.
3/4 pounds?
Yeah, we want some poundage.
I'm not sure what to make of exactly how he worded it, but
yeah.
he's going to send us some meat. So,
that's all right. Well,
we're in, and the ghost of Ike's bent prop shaft.
Oh, he's back.
My fishing adventures ended when Ike missed that turn in the Delta.
Yeah. One of the many misses in my career.
Yeah, there's been a few.
Yeah.
Some hits too. I got a shout out to a friend of the show, fan of the show, Drunkwood Dinky on Instagram.
Ooh.
Who might be related to Buck Stronghold, Joe, whatever that was.
Huh.
Thank you for the bottle of booze he sent me a week and a half ago.
Ooh,
I actually have a pretty sizable hangover today.
A week later, and Brian DeCarver calls a hangover.
Well, from last night.
Oh, last night. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Let's get the show started, I think, guys. Before wait, before we do that, though, I noticed a cast member missing tonight. Brian Carpenter, no Dave Brodzik, a.k.a. Fathead, a.k.a. Storm. Who are we going to have to bust balls tonight?
Dude, I talked to him not too long ago, and he was yeah, I'm in. I don't know where the hell he's at, but
he must have got lost in his garden, Pete.
yeah, he should see his garden.
Yeah, he made a wrong turn on the way home, similar to the 8 wrong turns he made on the way home from the convention center on the last day of the Classic, driving my truck that had 3 miles till empty.
Dude, you gotta now we can really bust his balls because he's not here. This is the best time.
This is the
Birmingham
best time.
for no reason.
This is the best time. Dude, we all know that person, Pete. We all know that person that sucks with directions. And Pete, I want you to you can maybe relive this story with us. And one of the great moments of Ike Live is we had a chance to film a Going Ike with the Ike Live crew. Eric the intern was with us at the time, and we came up with this big concept that we were going to do this dual fishing day. We were going to start on Round Valley, catch some trout. We're going to move over to Spruce Run and catch some bass. It's going to be a great day. But as normal, we got a little bit of a late start, and Brian and I headed up before Dave and Pete.
Yeah, with Hunter and Felicia Shryock.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you guys came up, but you were running a little late. I think they met you somewhere on the highway, Pete. And Dave, of course, instead of, we sent him a pin, we sent him the physical address, we sent him a screenshot of satellite imagery of where the boat ramp is, but somehow there's still no Dave, there's no Pete, nobody's. And we're like, God, where are all these guys? Man, we got to start filming. Where are these guys at? And we're actually out there fishing, and the texts start coming through.
Yeah.
Pete, pick it up from here. Is Dave the worst with directions, or what's going on?
He's like that classic guy that won't stop and ask for directions. He's
always got a theory on why he's going that direction. Like, he kept trying to convince me that he needed to turn right when really he needed to turn left after I had made that drive 12 times that week.
Oh my God.
Same drive.
Yeah, we're lost, and I catch up with him. We're asking people where the launch ramp is, and fortunately there were some people around. And Dave's like, "Oh, let's just drive into the sun. We'll find it."
Yeah, well, yeah, he called us.
He
called me, and we're fishing. We're on my boat. We got Hunter and Felicia are already filming, and he calls me. I put it on speakerphone. Me and you were in the same boat.
Yeah.
And I had him on speakerphone, and he's driving. He's like, "Well, which way's the ramp?" I said, "Well, which direction is the sun, on your left or your right?" And he's looking for the sun. Oh, dude, it was out of hand.
You're like, drive toward the sun.
Yeah, drive toward the sun, then make a left. Dave has what I like to call pretzel logic. He comes up with his own math, his own science. He makes up his own rules. It's all according to what he,
Wow.
And it never makes sense.
We all know that kind of person. And also, speaking of Dave Brodzik, I do want to give a shout out to Brian Carpenter, our friends over at Fear Fishing podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Did a really cool segment with Brian Carpenter, myself, and Dave Brodzik, talking about growing up together as kids fishing, and it was cool reminiscing. That was a cool show.
It was fun, yeah.
Yeah, I had a good time doing that.
I did too.
If anybody's listening right now, go back and check that out on Fear Fishing. I'm sure they have it posted somewhere. Let's get this show started, I think. And before we do, of course, as always, we want to send a thank you to some very, very special people. Of course, our military, active and veterans, men and women. Thank you guys for what you do. It's a crazy, crazy place. The world's crazy right now. Firemen, police, EMT, doctors, nurses, frontline people. Thank you. Oh, my God, it's crazy right now. Thank you for what you do. And anybody that's still working during this crazy time, thank you guys for keeping everything going and rolling for us. Hopefully tonight's show will break the monotony of what's going on a little bit. Maybe you'll laugh and learn something. So that's the goal. Here's a good thing. Before we get Robert on, I want to say this to Pete, Riz, and Brian Carpenter. Our two guests tonight are the absolute epitome of most people's dreams of what they want to do, of when they grow up. Like these dream jobs. And I know Robert. I know Christine. I also researched them a little bit, and both of them, Pete, quit the monotony of normal life to pursue their passion of fishing. And they've done a wonderful job of it. I mean, they literally get to fish every day. They travel the world, travel the country. I mean, this is what millions of people in the world dream about doing. They say, God, I wish I could do that. Isn't that awesome, Pete, that you have people that actually have made it a reality? Isn't that crazy?
I think it is amazing, and it's a tremendous thing. And I remember, do you remember it, Mike? But I remember when it first happened to me. I remember, when I was going to college and working, I never thought that it was even a possibility of fishing for a living. I just loved it, did it every moment that I could. Yeah. And, every weekend, every night. And then, the tournament thing came around and I qualified to the next level. And, I remember that enthusiasm, that moment of when I was going to turn in my, letter of resignation. Yeah. And I was going to go for it. And I got to say, it was the most amazing, euphoric freedom sensation that I ever had in my life. Yeah. And I was so excited. And at the time, I don't know that I had aspirations to win tournaments or win the classic. I just, at the time, I was just so appreciative. And my goal was to make a living fishing. Right. And that's where I was with it. And now I see that, these two people are walking that same path. It's awesome. And just having an amazing time of it. I interviewed Christine a few times, and what she's able to do in the kayak field and the payouts that they have these days are just amazing. And I really love what Robert's doing. I mean, you just talk about the freedom to just travel the world, see all the different parts of the country, fish for all different species, just for the pure love of it. It's really, I can appreciate what they're going through. I think it's amazing, and I can't wait to talk to them tonight. Yeah, I can't either. And in fact, you can wait another second because we've got them on right now. And I can't wait to talk to them here on Ike Live tonight. And our first guest joining us on tonight's show is the one and only Robert Field, joining us on Ike Live.
What's going on, guys?
How you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. How are y'all?
Oh, we're good. We're good. How is first things first? We've asked everybody this the last 2 or 3 weeks. How's quarantine? How's this weird, strange time treating you? Has it changed what you've been doing? Have you altered anything? What's been happening in the last 4 to 8 weeks for you?
Yeah, really, it hadn't affected me too much. I kind of lucked out. I was in Panama for a month and then New Zealand for 2 weeks, and I kind of got back to the States like right when things started kind of getting crazy. So sort of dodged a bullet there, getting stuck abroad, and then since then I've just had a bunch of editing to do, and so being forced to self-isolate instead of home has actually probably been probably not a bad thing for me. So all in all, I'm still able to fish where I'm at, so it hasn't affected me too much in that regard.
Yeah. I want to pick up, Robert, right before we got you on, Pete and I were talking about the feeling of deciding, getting to a point in your life and deciding that you've had enough of, your normal life, what you've trained for, and Pete went to Rutgers. He was an engineer with a great paying job. I had a degree in public relations advertising. And, for a lot of people in the world, millions of people in the world, it's a dream. It's something they go to sleep every night and they say, God, I wish I could just get out of this rut and do what I love to do, right? Whether it's fishing or whatever it is, to do my passion. And I want you to take me back to that decision because you went through it as well. Pete did it. A lot of people have done it in the fishing world. But you were at a point in your life where you just said, man, I've got a great degree. You went to a great university. You had a great job. But something happened, and you said, and you said, I wanna pursue my passion. Take me to that moment. Tell me about that moment.
Yeah. So I've got a master's degree in finance. Thought I had it all figured out. Was sort of climbing the corporate ladder, at least at a decent pace, I thought at the time. And basically, I guess the turning point for me, I think like a lot of people that kind of take a leap and take a chance and on doing something different, was really kind of a low point for me. I sort of came to a crossroads of sorts. I basically, I was living with a girlfriend, and she and I, it just didn't work out. And so I ended that, and I thought that, after 5 years, she'd be cool with me, sticking around until I found a place to live. That was not the case. That's not how it went down. So suddenly I found myself without a place to stay, out on the curb, went and crashed on a buddy's couch, and then went into work the next day. And I actually had a pretty good relationship with my CEO, and I had planned on asking him if I could crash at his place till I sort of figured things out. Went into work the next day, and like 5 minutes in, he asked if we could talk, and basically he fired me. So then suddenly I found myself newly single and unemployed and homeless, so to speak. And about 2 days later, I was kind of feeling sorry for myself, but trying to figure something out. And then my dad gave me a call, and turned out my uncle had committed suicide. And so in 4 days, my whole kind of life turned upside down. And I'd known for a while that the finance world was not getting my juices flowing, or however you want to say it. And was feeling sorry for myself again, and drinking probably more than I should have been for a couple of weeks, and until a buddy invited me over, my friend Rex, and he's a fellow kayak angler and YouTuber also, and he called me, and I think he just could tell in my voice that something was wrong. So he invited me down, told me to come down, hang out, let's do a little fishing, let's just hang out and chill. And while I was down there, I told him everything that happened, and he really kind of helped me open my eyes to, looking at that as an opportunity. He knew that I'd been looking to make a move, make a change, and he pointed out to me that, hey, Rob, you're now single, unemployed, you got this new perspective on life and how short it is.
Right.
I mean, he said to me, this is as good a time as any to take a chance, take a leap. And I mean, what do you got to lose at this point? And that really resonated with me. And I went out the next day and called my sponsors. At this point, I had made maybe $100 lifetime from fishing, and didn't know how I was going to do it. But yeah, just started calling sponsors and telling them, hey, I want to do this full time and I need your help. And luckily they all kind of rallied behind me. And I'll never forget calling my mom and telling her, hey, I know I got this master's degree and we had big plans, but I think scrap all that. I'm going to do this fishing thing full time. And she was like, okay, yeah, sweetie, that sounds great, but how are you going to make money? And I didn't have a good answer for it at the time, but just kind of went for it. And here I am. 4 years later, 4.5 years later.
Wow.
Getting it done.
Wow. What a story.
I had that same conversation with my parents when I came home and told them that I was going to go fishing after spending all those years in college and working. And, it didn't go over that well either. It's hard to work through that. But so you were doing this before, like you were working with YouTube and you had sponsorships and you had a lot of the pieces in place already before you.
Yeah, to an extent. Like I said, I wasn't making any money per se, but I had the videos had kind of started taking off, and this hobby kind of started to seem like maybe it had the potential to become more than that. I had zero plan, zero roadmap, but I've just kind of been stumbling my way through it ever since.
Well, it looks good. How long have you been at it?
I've been, I started doing the videos 7 years ago, and I was in grad school and working full time. And it was like any chance I got out to go fishing, I'd do that. And then I'd be up till 3 a.m. editing videos for nothing, knowing I wasn't making any money. But I guess it's been about 4 years since I kind of took the leap and started doing this full time.
Now you're out catching 500-pound marlin.
No, not that one. I was filming that 500-pound marlin, catching them on video. That's my good buddy. You
were part of the team, man. I'm counting that for you.
It it definitely takes a village, and the angler Adam, he'd be the first to admit that he'd have been in some trouble had we not been out there with him. So that was crazy. That all worked out though.
Well,
How far did that fish pull him?
Yeah, he hooked it maybe about 1.5 miles offshore, right in front of the lodge that I'm actually pretty heavily involved with this lodge out there in Panama. I go there. I spent about a fourth of my year out there. He hooked it about 1.5 miles offshore, and by the time we turned around in the boat after he landed it, we were 17 miles offshore.
Holy smokes!
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, sleigh ride for sure.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That was drag.
That was truly amazing footage. I saw it had a couple million views, and watching those marlin jump, a 500-pound marlin just breached like that so many times, and you caught it all on all your cameras and stuff. It was amazing. I watched it with my son today, and now he wants to go marlin fishing, of course. But
our very own Zog just chimed in and said that he's going to Los Buzos next year. I hope I said that right. Los Buzos. Yeah. Next year to kayak fish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Zach the intern. He's headed out.
Wow.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm out there 3 months a year, and 2 of those 4 weeks that I'm out there at a time, we've got 12 clients each week, and we take them out kayak fishing. Now, we don't like that marlin video. I've been trying to tell people, like, if you want to come out and be a client, that's not how we operate. We don't hook in a 500-pound fish with like 2 dudes and just like old man in the sea it every day. When we got clients there, it's much different. We've got a little more under control. That was just us 3 guys out there having some fun, but it's an incredible place. And yeah, we've had so many people out there just have fishing trips of a lifetime. It's an incredible spot for sure.
You ever caught a marlin, Mike?
I have not caught a marlin. I would love to. That's on my bucket list. Have not caught a marlin yet.
Well, we'll have to make the trip down to Panama, the Ike Live crew.
That'd be good.
Yeah, we can arrange that. I can make that happen. Like I said, I work pretty closely with the owner. I'm actually building a house out there right by the lodge. On some of the owner's got a bunch of property out there. So yeah, before too long, you guys can just come crash to my house. I'll tell you where I had the key, with or without me. Y'all are welcome anytime.
That's awesome. I want to switch gears, Robert, and I want to talk to you about kayak fishing. Because there's a lot of people making a living fishing. They're a professional angler, whether it's through a tournament, saltwater guides, industry reps. There's so many different ways to make a living fishing, and you chose to do it mainly through kayak fishing. Talk a little bit about that, because that's a special thing, and there's a lot of people watching this show that haven't tried it yet. There's a bunch that have, but why kayak fishing? Why are you a kayak angler and not in a big boat or a bay boat or a skiff? Or why kayak fishing? How did you get into this thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've got kind of a different story than a lot of people that are sort of in my position. I'd say kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Like, I did not grow up fishing. I didn't fish as a kid, really, at all. I really wasn't even very outdoorsy as a kid. It's something I definitely discovered later in life. And so I really started fishing from a kayak, like, period. So actually a YouTube video around the time I broke up with that girl was really just kind of looking for a hobby. Like, I had all this newfound free time and was just looking for something to do. And I decided I wanted to do something outdoors. And I stumbled upon this video of a guy, Drew Gregory, who's pretty influential guy in our sport.
Oh yeah.
And it was this little 11-minute video, just a couple GoPros on his kayak, but he was going down the Devil's River in Texas, which flows into basically the Rio Grande, Lake Amistad, down the Mexico border. But I was watching this video, and I mean, he's catching smallmouth, he's catching largemouth, there's rattlesnakes, he's out in the middle of nowhere in the desert, and I just remember watching and just thinking, like, that is an adventure. Like, I want to do that. And I think for me, again, not growing up fishing, not ever really having aspirations to be the next Ike Bassmaster winner, I just like getting out there and feeling like I'm on an adventure, man. And I really enjoyed the kind of nature aspect of it all. Like I love going out in these ecosystems and kind of just blending in with my surroundings. And wildlife aren't skittish around kayaks. It's really just kind of a different experience. And so I really kind of started kayak fishing more for sort of the adventure side of it, and just to get out there.
Yeah.
And sort of accidentally fell in love with the angling part of it, almost as a side effect, I'd say. So
yeah, for
me, it's just a different experience. I always joke that you go out for a day of kayak fishing. If you don't catch any fish, like, you still went kayaking. And for a lot of people, that's the whole sport. That's their whole hobby. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just a more intimate experience too, catching a fish from a kayak versus from a boat, or even from the bank. I think it's just kind of it's just a different experience. I mean, you've done it.
Oh, yeah.
But when that bass is jumping out at head height, it's and pulling you around a little bit.
It's crazy.
I don't know. I just can't get enough of it. I also just like being the captain of my own ship and not having to be in the back of the boat going where some other guy tells me we're going. So
yeah, I love it. And I'd say during, especially now, I'd say in the last 2 months, I got back from, our tournament season was canceled. And when I got back home, I had all this time to kayak fish. And I've done more kayak fishing personally in the last 4 to 6 weeks than I've done in a long time. And you hit it, man. It's fishing at the ground level, or it's being in the face of the fish. It's all that. And talking about self-quarantining, self-isolating, I don't know if there's a better way to do it than on a kayak, by yourself. But here's the thing that I love about it. It ties into my next question, which is it's a lot more accessible. And honestly, people are watching this live right now. People are going to go back months from now listening to this podcast. And again, they're dreaming. Robert, they're the guys that are saying, God, I wish I could do that. That's my dream. And what I love about what you're doing in a kayak and through your travels with your RV as well is that it's very accessible, which I love. Like, we've got a lot of great friends that are, they have saltwater boats that are 48 foot and they need a dually to tow it. And they have to, every time they fill up that gas, it's like a $3,000 to go offshore. And, and I love those guys and I love what they do, but it's not accessible to the common man, right? Right. That's a dream that's too far out there, right? Unless you're like Lil Jon or Lil Wayne or Lil JoJo, you know what I mean? But for the average guy, when they're looking at what you're doing, they're like, shit, I could do that. I've got a kayak. I've got a little travel trailer. I've got a pop-up camper. We've already got a fifth wheel. That lifestyle, what you're doing, is very accessible to the common man. And I love that about it. Talk to me a little bit about your lifestyle a little bit, because I think that in itself is a dream for a lot of people. You're really honestly what I call like a true gypsy. In a good way, I say that, in a good way. Because your camper's your home, your kayak's your office, you get to travel, it's this very romantic thing. Like our Eric the intern, who used to be with us a few years ago, is doing a lot of the same stuff you're doing now, and he's loving life. Tell me a little bit about that lifestyle, because it's very, very intriguing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, in terms of accessibility, like a lot of people have asked me, how did you start fishing 7 years ago and 4 years ago make it your job? And when it comes to like the show, my video content, I think that accessibility and it being relatable, the things you're touching on is exactly it. I think that, like you said, kind of the lower barrier to entry, not having to go buy a $100,000 boat to do what I do, is definitely a huge part of it. And then I also think that because I've only been fishing for 7 years, and I mean, most episodes, so I think tonight you got the perfect two guests, because you've got Christina Fisher, who is just like an absolute stick and one of the best anglers. I mean, I've got just tremendous respect for this gal. And then you've got me, who really, like, self-proclaimed rookie amateur. Like, most of the time I don't know what I'm doing. In fact, most episodes start out and it's like, hey guys, Robert Field here again. And today we're going for sturgeon, and I don't even know how to spell sturgeon, but this dude does, and we're going to go out and just figure it out. And I've kind of got a knack for, I'd say, I call it beginner's luck, but whatever you want to call it, I've got a knack for kind of figuring out new fisheries and stuff like that. But I think people watch it and they're like, God, if this idiot can do this, I could definitely do this, And so I think that's a big part of it, for sure. In terms of the lifestyle, yeah, I'm in it right now. I've been living in this travel trailer full time for 2 years. It was 2 years in November. And for me, it was kind of just sort of the next logical progression, evolution of the show, so to speak. Field trips. It's about traveling around, and I found myself running around all these different fisheries and doing these road trips, and I'd come back home like just to do laundry and then get right back on the road and head out. And so eventually the kind of light bulb went off that was like, if I could just bring my house with me, I wouldn't have to come back to some home base. I can just keep traveling and move on from one fishing trip to the next. And just kind of decided to do it. And I had tons of reservations and a lot of apprehension. I was scared. I mean, the same reason I think a lot of people look at what I do and say, gosh, I'd love to do what you do. I wish I could do what you do. And I mean, I tell all of them, you can't. Like, again, I've only been doing any of this for 7 years. I taught myself how to film and edit one Google search at a time. Like, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. And it's like, if I can do this, anyone can. And I think that I know that it's fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of, this decision blowing up in our face that holds people back or keeps them from taking a leap like this. And like, I want people to know I was not like, I'm going to move in an RV and it's going to be amazing and nothing could possibly go wrong. And I know exactly what I'm doing. Like, none of those thoughts happened. It was just this flood of, oh my gosh, what if this, what if that, how am I going to do this or that, laundry, internet, all these things. And it's funny how all these worries that I had, and I mean, I guess this is how we work, like all these worries forced me to kind of prepare for these things, but all the things I was worried about going wrong, zero of them came to fruition. And all these fears that I had ended up being completely unnecessary. And, nowadays too, like with Google, I mean, you can Google full-time RV life, which is what I did. I actually paid my little sister, she's in grad school, I paid her to do like a little research project for me on full-time RV living. But you Google full-time RV life and there's a million blogs and articles and guides. And I mean, just anything, any way you want to receive the information, it's all out there at your fingertips. And doing that, it really kind of helped me sort of cross off the unknowns and what to do. So, I mean, it's scary. And I think that a lot of these people saying, gosh, I'd give anything to live a lifestyle like yours, I think most of them probably aren't being truthful with themselves. They probably wouldn't really enjoy my lifestyle. And I think the ones that really would, it's just fear that keeps them from doing it, but they certainly can. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. I'd maybe been inside one RV before I moved into one full time. So you don't need to be an expert at anything. It's just about putting your mind to it and working hard, doing a little, research and preparation. But honestly, man, I love it. And everyone keeps asking me, so what are you going to do when you finish all 50 states? Like, where are you going to settle down? And I'm like, man, I didn't even fish 7 years ago. So like my 5-year plan is pretty much non-existent.
That's awesome. And I can relate to the RV thing as well. When our son was born 9 years ago, Becky and I at the time had been traveling, just staying at hotels and houses and all that whole nonsense. And I remember us, when our son was born, said, we have to find something better. And we did the same thing. We were thrust into it just like you. We went out and got our first RV and didn't know what we were doing. Literally pulled into the lot, hooked it up. I knew how to hook up a boat, so I knew how to hook, we could hook it into the back. After that, we didn't know anything. We had to learn on the fly. But it is, I can tell you that it is a amazing way to travel. It's, in my opinion, an amazing way to live. Is that life, that on the road life, if you're doing it, so much better in an RV or a camper than it is doing the hotel thing. So I definitely like that a lot. Let me remind everybody watching and listening, if you've got a question for Robert, or if you've got a question for anything you're hearing tonight, please hit us up on the IMs. They're open. Also, you can send us a message on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Ike Live Show, and I'll be checking some of those as well. Let's bring Riz back and see if he's got anything coming through on the IMs. But before I do that, I want to call Riz to the plate real quick. Riz, would you drop everything next week? Sell it all. Sell everything I'm looking at. Your house, sell all your assets right now. It's you, a pop-up camper, and your boat, and you're going to go hit the tournament trail. Would you do it? Do you have enough balls to do that?
I would do it out of my truck. I don't even need the camper.
Brandon Pollock
I say
style.
that straight face, no
Wow.
shake in my hand. I would 100%. I mean, if I believed in my fishing ability enough, because I'm in a different, like Robert's aspirations were for YouTube and that whole thing. My drive with fishing is when I found competitive bass fishing, it fulfilled a void that was gone when I stopped playing baseball in college. I didn't have that competitive factor anymore. So tournament bass fishing filled that. But if I thought that I could compete with the big dogs, then I would do it. But one step at a time, we're not there yet. So
Okay.
I think a more important question for Riz is, Robert, what's the dating scene like out in Panama
Oh, yeah, that's critical.
and New Zealand?
That's critical.
Yeah, much better in New Zealand. Panama's solid, but we're out in the jungle, like 5 hours from the city, literally in the jungle in a village. So, yeah, potential wives are few and far between, for sure.
Riz might be a
We all
problem.
have pretty girls under the water, for sure.
Riz, Fistina might be your companion in Panama.
That's funny. Eric Goldstein on Facebook says, you talk about the fear of taking off and doing this, and that's what keeps people from doing it. And his biggest fear is his wife killing him in his sleep.
That's a good fear. Yeah.
When he makes that move.
Yeah, the whole Bobbitt incident. Lorena Bobbitt.
Bobbitt.
Yeah, had his penis pulled off.
Yep.
That could happen.
No, that's a valid fear. That's one thing I didn't have to worry about. I'm single with no kids. That certainly made it a simpler decision to make. I wouldn't say it easier, but definitely simpler. But at the same time, I know several families with several young kids that do the full-time RV life. So, maybe baby step it. Get one, do some little weekend trips and a small one, and then when you convince her that she likes it, maybe then pop the question again.
Love it.
You got some IM questions, Riz?
I do. The non-sponsoring meat stick wants to know, Robert, how did you first start acquiring your sponsors?
Oh, that's a good one.
My first sponsors came to me, I guess. Yeah, really. Once my video started taking off, basically I had a video that, I don't know, helped make me infamous, I guess, notorious. I don't know, but I was just doing these videos for fun, like a hobby, and I don't know what it was, but I just got in my head, like before I even bought the kayak, I decided I was going to catch a sizable shark from said kayak before I even had it. And at that point, I think I had fished in the ocean 0 times in my life. Did not know anything about it. 5 months after getting my kayak, I had been fishing for sand bass and, largemouth and whatever. And I decided to go down to the coast and, go try to catch a shark. And unfortunately it worked out and I caught a pretty big shark. It towed me around. And then afterwards I ended up flipping my kayak because I had no idea what I was doing. And this lady, Barbara, who owned this little seashell knick-knack hut, Barbara, she was watching me in binoculars. She told me later because she thought, what idiot is out here kayaking in this weather? Little did I know, I didn't even check the weather forecast, which shows you just how much of a newbie I was, but there was a tropical storm developing off the coast of Texas and went out. It got real rough. I was out there, ended up flipping. She saw me. She panicked, called the Coast Guard. I was able to right myself back up. And as I'm coming in, helicopter flies overhead. These guys rush up to me on the beach, wondering if I'm okay. And anyways, that video kind of took off, got the shark, it flipped me, yada, yada. And I think it's got 6 point something million views now, but that was really kind of a catalyst for my channel. And then, kind of sponsors just started coming to me. I think that nowadays, if you want to do some variation of what I do, and video is definitely not for everyone. Like I spend more hours editing than I do fishing for sure. So I think a lot of people, I think a mistake that a lot of people make just in life, looking at anything like what I do, is they imagine themselves on the summit, not wanting to have anything to do with the climb. Yeah. And I think a lot of people see me doing these videos and making a living at it and getting to travel and fish, which is awesome, but they don't see the climb. They don't see the behind the scenes. They don't see all the editing that I do. And I'm certainly not complaining or looking for sympathy in at all, but it's like, I think a lot of people think they want to be a YouTuber when if they really saw what, goes into it, they probably wouldn't. And that's okay. I think nowadays, if you can build a following, sponsors will come to you until you're ready to start going after them. And there's a million ways to build a following nowadays, whether it's written words, videos, photos, anything, podcasts. Yeah. So I'd say, kind of find your media, whichever one. And it's like, just try new things is how we find these passions. And I always say that, like, you're never going to be happy until you find that thing in life that's what you're supposed to be doing. And the only way to find that, typically, I think we stumble into it. And it's just by trying new things. Like I started fishing at 25 years old for the first time and just fell in love with it. Like, I just knew this is what I love. This is what I love to do. And, until you go out there and just try new things, you're never going to find it. I think that's half the battle, is just figuring out what you really want to do in life. And I think a lot of times we get kind of tricked, or even trick ourselves into thinking this is what I love to do. This is what I love to do. When again, the climb starts to wear on you. And I think you got to find the climb that you love to do, not the summit that you want to imagine yourself on. And I enjoy the editing. I enjoy that process. And so, yeah. I don't even know if that answers. I don't even remember what the original question was. I'm just rambling now. This one, I think.
No, it was. You hit it on the head. And there's actually a good follow-up question for that from New York Chris. With having YouTube and sponsorship income, how do you divvy up your time, and where do you put your effort more, into YouTube or sponsorship or both? And how do you manage that?
Man, that's as soon as I figure it out, I'll get that. I don't know. It's tough. I would say that the YouTube income can be very substantial. For me, it's more of a minor part of my income. You really got to get to where you're putting out videos like a few a week, and really hitting like 1 million views on most of those, or hundreds of thousands on all of those, to really make a comfortable income on YouTube. So that's difficult. So I definitely think a balance is good. YouTube can also be very fickle. The algorithm, I put out videos that I think are incredible and they don't get many views. And then I put out videos that I think are garbage. I just got to get something out and they take off. And so it's very unpredictable and it's not very consistent. So you really got to explode to be able to just rely on YouTube. So because of that, not a long time ago, but maybe 3 years ago, I decided I was going to focus more on sponsors, working with brands whose products I believed in, because I felt like that was more kind of reliable income, I guess, if you will. But it's a challenge. And when I first started out, like I said, I had made no money in fishing when I first went full time. And, many ramen noodles lost their lives that first year. And I remember selling a GoPro that I really needed to film the show just to pay rent 1 month. It's a struggle. So what I would say is that if you're getting into YouTube videos, YouTube fishing videos for the money, you've already lost and you've already doomed yourself for failure. I think the one of the keys to my success was that when I first started doing this, again, I was working full time and going to grad school at night and doing these videos just for fun, just because I just enjoyed doing it. And I think that comes through. And I know I can think of several people off the top of my head who have asked me for a lot of advice kind of along their journey. And of those several, like 2 of the 3, their questions were constantly about money. Whereas the third, it was more about how to how to be genuine to their audience, how to appeal to people, how to make their content so more people would see it. And the person of those three, I won't name any names, but the person that never once asked me about how do I make more money has ended up being the most successful of the three over the past year and a half, 2 years. So, yeah, to me, if you're worrying about the money before you get started, you're probably not going to be successful. So what I would say is, if you enjoy the video work, get after it, do it, expecting to make no money. I didn't make a dime for my first 3 years doing videos. And if you work hard enough at it and stick with it, I think the money will just come. That's basically what happened to me. I kind of accidentally started making money.
Yeah.
So,
Fall in love with the process.
yeah.
Yeah.
The climb, baby, the climb.
Yeah, you gotta
love the work. And
You gotta love it.
A quick question, because I noticed your videos, and the thing that you solved is the audio, and it's the thing I wrestle with. And you had some really good audio on, those GoPros, wind, wave, surf. What's the secret, man?
Yeah, man, I don't have a good secret, honestly. It is definitely the most challenging thing. And I also would say that it's a very, very good question, because I think that audio sort of indirectly is the most important thing, because your personality is far and away the most important thing in videos. Like, people don't connect with fish. They don't connect with the song you chose. People connect with people, and they want to see you being a person. And the only way that you can really be a person and show your personality is by capturing your own audio. So, short answer is, it's super important, and I don't have a good answer for you. But what I do is, you'll notice in my videos, I've got one. Actually, I'm gonna grab one. Hold on. You'll notice in my videos that almost every time I'm talking, if I'm on the kayak, especially, just because the options become even harder once you're on the kayak as opposed to a boat where you can reasonably be assured you're not going to flip over or get soaking wet. But usually when I'm talking, I'm wearing one of these. So this is the action hat. Actually, my buddy, coincidentally, this is a great segue, my buddy Rex, who, when I was going through that challenging part of my life, the guy who kind of opened my eyes to, this is an opportunity to do this full time, to take a chance. Rex Del Rey is his name. He invented this thing. He's got a patent on it. This is the action hat, and it's and I don't make any. I'm not like plugging this. This is what I use. But this action hat has got a built-in GoPro mount on here, and it floats. This foam in here makes it float, so if it falls off your head, you're not going to lose your $400 camera. But basically, I take the audio from this camera that's on my head, and I dub that underneath the video facing me. And so when you put a GoPro on like a boom of any kind, any wave or wind or anything you drop on the kayak, it's going to reverberate through that boom, and it ruins the audio. This one, being so close to my head and being kind of facing the way my voice is projecting, this is where I get the crisp audio. So not a perfect solution, but it's kind of dual purpose. This is where I get my audio from. And two, if the marlin jumps out to my right when I'm not expecting it, I turn my head naturally, and naturally I frame that whatever I'm looking at. This thing kind of follows the action, like even when you're not trying. So
wow,
that's where I get my audio, and it works reasonably well.
Cool tip. And look at Rich taking notes right now, because he's an aspiring YouTuber. He's taking a lot of notes. I did want to catch up on a few on our social media accounts as well. And we've got Tony has a question for you, and he says, love the catch and cook stuff. Do you have more of that coming?
Yeah, absolutely. The catch and cook stuff is like far and away consistently the most popular stuff that I do. So yeah. I actually I love cooking anyways. And I realized recently just what a missed opportunity, how many times I've been catching fish and then cooking them off camera. So yeah, I mean, basically at this point, if I'm catching something that's worth eating, I'm going to keep it and cook it up in the show for sure.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I love that. I think
what's your favorite freshwater?
I don't think enough people are doing that. I kind of love it.
Freshwater?
Yeah, what's your favorite freshwater fish to eat so far?
Man, I've been on like a crappie kick lately. I just learned how to catch crappies, so definitely been doing that. And then just 3 days ago, I was up in Oklahoma, and we kind of did a little smorgasbord of seafood, if you will. We kept some sand bass, some walleye, and some spotted bass. And I cooked up the walleye and sand bass, which will be in like this week's episode. And I've still got the spotted bass, so the lake we were fishing, there's no limit, size or number of spotted bass you can keep. That's how many, that's how plentiful they are. You could keep 1,000 if you caught them. So we kept like 4. So I think I'm going to do a spotted bass catch and cook. Really, more than anything, maybe just to ruffle some feathers. I think a lot of people. I know you guys have seen this happen where someone posts up like 3 bass on a stringer and gets just like attacked on Facebook. And I think a lot of that is like just out of ignorance. Like, really, it's healthy for a fishery, for the bass population in any body of water, really, to cull some of these smaller bass. And so I think this whole stigma that if you kept a black bass, you're like the devil is just silly and honestly counterproductive. I think a lot of fisheries just need to have some of these removed. And really the spotted bass on Broken Bow Lake, where I just was up in Oklahoma, is a great example. I mean, there's so many that they didn't put a limit on it. That just tells you. And we caught a ton of them, not that big, and there's just too many of them in there. So, yeah, I'm going to do a little spotted bass catch and cook. We'll see. The YouTube comments will be interesting. If anyone that wants to do video, if at any point you ever get a big head, start feeling like a big shot, start feeling like you're the coolest guy on the planet, just read your own YouTube comments. They will bring you back down to earth.
That is a fact.
Speaking of having a big head, that gets to the next comment. And I can't say whether this is the real one or not, but this one's good. The real Scott Martin says, "Oh son, I got in YouTube for the fame, money, and bitches, man." So I don't know if that's from the real Scott Martin or not.
You must be doing something different than I am. I don't know about that.
I hope that was the real
girl,
Scott Martin.
You ever heard of YouTube? That line never works. 0% success rate for me, at least.
And then I also wanted to read these comments because I've been seeing these on every social post lately, on my site, on Ike Live, on everything. And it's the same text, just different names. This one comes from Edwin TJ and Kevin Mart, who says, "I'm grateful to Bright Banner 1 for picking me from nothing to something. I saw his post, and I sent him a message. Due to my poor background, I invested $500 in binary option trading with Bright Banner 1. Within 4 days, I cashed out at $5,500. Today, I'm a professional binary earner. Thanks, Bright Banner 1. What the hell is this shit?
What the hell?
Why does this keep coming through in my social media feeds? Who the hell's Bright Banner?
No idea.
What is this shit?
Yeah. I got a master's in finance. I can't help you.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
so far removed.
What is
I don't
this
even know what
Bright
that
Banner?
means.
That's spam.
Oh, man. Jesus.
But it sounds like a hot tip. I'd probably go for it. I'd probably put 10 times that in there if I were you.
So Robert, how many of your YouTube comments do you read?
I read every single one of I reply to every single one of my YouTube comments, which is really like a full-time job in itself. Basically, every time I'm pooping, I'm just like blitzing through YouTube comments. Yeah. Look, I go like 5 times a day, so it works out pretty well. But I reply to everyone. So anyone watching, listening, obviously you can reach me through the Ike Live social media. He'll relay those to me. But also, if you check out one of my videos, ask any questions, comment, whatever, 100%, I will see it, and you will get a reply, even if you're nasty. Actually, I reply to the ones that are.
Any tips on dealing with the douchebags?
Yeah, because we need tips here because Brian the Carpenter wants to fight them all. he gives them directions to meet them in the second woods. He wants to fight them.
I hate stupid.
I just kill them with kindness, man. I'm big on that.
That's like, a Pete technique.
You know, there's a bunch of sayings about arguing on the internet, but for me, it's like you'd be amazed how many times someone will be on my YouTube and they'll comment just this string of expletives, you're a this, that, this, I hope you're, and just horrible things. And then I'll go on there and reply and be like, "Hey brother, sorry you didn't enjoy it. No problem that you didn't dig it. Thanks for checking it out anyways. Have a blessed day." And you would be amazed. I bet 40% of those people that I'm talking, the people that comment like the nastiest things,
instant fans,
they come back and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't think you actually would see that. I forgot you're a real human. Like, I just subscribed. Sorry about that. I don't know what I was." I'm just like, what is wrong with y'all? But either killing people like that with kindness does one of two things: either it converts them into a fan or subscriber or whatever, or it just pisses them off more. Which either that's like a win-win to me. So yeah. they're just trying to get a rise at you. I always say, don't take it personally. Like, those guys are talking to Robert Field, YouTuber, who's like not a real person. They don't know me. They're not talking to me. So I just don't even take it personally.
Yeah. It's tough to deal with all that. I do want to say real quick. I want to say, oh, wait a minute. Do I see right? Hold on. Robert, we're joined by our last member. He got lost, I think, in his own garden. It's so big. We've got the one and only Dave Brodzik, a.k.a. Fathead, a.k.a. Wharf, joining us tonight.
Wharf.
Dave, how you doing?
Dave.
Yo, hey, what's up, guys, man? I'm finally invited into the party.
What happened? Were you lost in your garden, or?
Must have slipped past security.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, I'm having a real hard time hearing you. Is that something that's been going on tonight?
Oh, that's a Brian the Carpenter issue. I can't.
Because I hear the guest like perfectly, but I can hardly hear you.
Same as last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magnum PI stash is looking strong there, brother.
Thank you. I'm bringing it back, man. Well, that's actually been back, so I'm just jumping on the bandwagon.
Looks better every week.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was tearing up the yard tonight, Mike. Kind of why you didn't get to. I just finally finished up, dude. I was hanging some lights. I'm going to show you what I got going on.
Oh, okay.
Ready?
Hostile takeover.
That's it.
So here we go. I'll turn it around. Hanging cafe lights over top the patio section right here.
Wow, it's looking nice.
Here we go. Getting everything on a timer was real cute. But I finally got the timer working. Took 2 different timers to get the one that actually doesn't go from dusk till dawn. Like, you can actually just do like a 2-hour window and stuff like that.
Wow.
So
look at that.
That was what I was doing all day, pretty much this whole weekend. And Brian, you'll appreciate this, dude. Ready? See my wall?
I'm ready to appreciate.
Huh?
I'm ready to appreciate. Ah, look at that. Looks good, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That was all weekend. Sorry, fishing fans. I know you don't give 2 shits about
Wow, no, this was a good walkthrough. This was a good walkthrough. I feel like I'm in Longwood Gardens.
What's that?
He said he feels like he's in Shortwood Gardens.
Shortwood Gardens.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
I don't either.
All right, Dave.
Longwood Gardens' little brother.
Yeah, Dave.
That's the one where you can actually hear people talking, maybe?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Dave, we got you on at the perfect time. So the entire show, we've been talking about how Robert has taken this dream and turned it into reality. And there are millions of people that would love to live this lifestyle. Give us your version of it, Dave. Just kill it for us. Just break it down here one by one. Why you shouldn't do this.
Why? What, Mike? Because Mike, I can hardly hear you. And I'm sorry. I'm not trying to get ass
Turn my volume up.
You're fine. It's Dave.
Oh, okay.
Everybody else is having
But I can hear everyone else, dude. All right, Mike. What was your question?
Last time.
Do you want me to sign it?
Give it to him one more time, and then I'm hanging up on him.
Okay. Why shouldn't people pursue their dream?
Oh, why should or shouldn't?
Shouldn't.
Okay, see, I hear Pete perfectly fine, Brian. Don't get mad at me and hang up on me because you can't figure out how to turn the volume up.
Get it off in podcasts.
All right.
Oh, we just hung up with him. That was easy. All right.
That was easy.
He's not going to give that.
Back to you, Robert.
Back to you, Robert. No, I want to. I'll spin that a different way, which is, and you've already touched on it, but for everybody watching that thinks it's this very easy thing, and it's a great life, and you're doing what you love, and it's your passion, but it is a lot of work too, right? It's a lot of work. You've got 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, a lot of success, sponsorships, but it's work, right? It's hard work as well. Like you're working every day. You're hustling. This isn't like where you're just like, It's work. It's hard work.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, like, I work way more hours now than I ever did when I had a 9 to 5. Without a doubt. The difference being most of the time it doesn't feel like work. And now there's definitely exceptions to that. Like, I think social media has got this the problem with social media is that everyone looks at everyone else thinking like, oh my gosh, this is their life. I'm seeing their life in these little box pictures. It's not. You're seeing the best. You're seeing the cream on top of their life, the stuff that they think you're going to love seeing. I've got challenges and struggles and long days and long nights, just like anyone has. I've got setbacks. This whole COVID thing has had quite a few setbacks to my income earning. I mean, I'm not immune to this either. I know there's a lot of people out there suffering way worse than I am, so I'm definitely not looking for a pity party, but yeah, it is a lot of work. And I mean, that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, is that like the climb, it ain't all sunshine and hook sets. It's not just rainbows. I've had plenty of struggles. I've had plenty of moments and times and days when I thought like, I can't do this. This just isn't, I can't do it. It's not worth it. It's too much work, not enough money. It's whatever. I've had all those doubts. And I think that if you don't have those doubts with whatever you're doing in life, that you're just like oblivious or just choosing to ignore it. But, you know, like, living the dream. I am living the dream. People tell me all the time, man, you're living the dream. And I would agree. I am living the dream. The problem is that most people don't really understand what the dream is. And what the dream is a lot of work for mediocre payoff, at least financially. It's just part of it. Yeah. But again, difference being is that I found the climb that I enjoy. And so 16-hour editing days just don't really bother me all that much. So yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I can tell you this, watching your YouTube stuff, you're inspiring to a lot of people, whether they want to pursue it or whether they're looking for an escape from reality. Your content is super, man. It's awesome. I love watching it. I know a lot of people love watching it. Robert, we're gonna let you go here in a second. Before we do that, though, for people watching that haven't found your YouTube channel yet, I want to make sure they know what that is. And then also, you've got a couple other things going on with travel. We mentioned a little bit earlier with Zog coming in for a trip, but tell everybody they can actually get a chance to come hang out with you and do a little fishing in some really cool places. I want you to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to find the show, if you want to check out the video work, you can go to YouTube, type in Field Trips in the search bar. It'll suggest Field Trips with Robert Field, or you can search for Robert Field. That's the name of my channel. I'm also on Waypoint TV. If you guys have that, it's an app on every platform imaginable. And I also put my full episodes on Facebook. So you can find my Facebook page, Field Trips with Robert Field. And then, if anyone wants to come fishing with me, I'm not a guide, really, but I do these trips in Panama. If you want to have a fishing trip of a lifetime, we have taken so many people out that have never been in a kayak. I personally have taken at least a dozen people out that have never fished in their entire lives. And we will take you out into the Pacific Ocean off the coast of the jungles of Panama. And I'll never forget this gal that we took out. I'll never forget what she said. She said, I didn't even know what a roosterfish was until I had it on my lap. And she had like a 40-pounder on her lap. She got in the kayak. And then her boyfriend proposed to her the last day of the trip. So ladies, you're welcome too. You might even get a marriage out of it.
Wow, look at that.
That must be some good fishing. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That was a special one. And it was cool because he didn't know how to tie, I can't remember, some knot. And she actually knew the knot, like not from fishing. I don't remember how, but she taught him this knot, and he ended up tying her up a ring out of fluorocarbon and proposed to her on the beach the last day of the trip. It was really cool. But you can come out to Los Buzos. Riz said it right, Los Buzos. Again, I'm building a house out there. I'm out there 3 times a year for at least a month each time. I love that place. It is the most epic place I've ever fished. And again, we take people of all experience levels. You don't have to be familiar with kayaks. It's easy. We got it dialed in. Then you can also, through a company that I'm a part owner of, Fish Village, you can come fishing with me in a number of places. We do kayak fishing trips to New Zealand, Cedros Island in Mexico. We do a mothership trip off the coast of Southern California out of San Diego. Go live on a boat for 3 days around San Clemente Island. We do trips all around the world, and I'm on at least one of those trips in each location every year. You guys can book that with me. That's fishvillage.com if you want to check that out. But yeah, Field Trips with Robert Field. Check it out. I hope you dig it. Comment on my YouTube. I will reply back, even if you're nasty. It's okay. I forgive you in advance.
Robert, can you make a YouTube video about how to make that fluorocarbon ring? Because I have some buddies that, you know who you are if you're watching. You're getting ready to tie that knot, son. And that fluorocarbon knot will save you some cheese.
You're falling on a budget. Yeah. I'll message you the knot. Yeah, no problem.
Or you could just tie Pete's knot for everything.
There you go.
It's pretty standard. That's a pretty solid knot, Pete.
It's very popular in Panama.
right. Down south.
It's almost as popular as coconuts. Robert, can't thank you enough for coming on the show. It's so good having you on here, and I know people are watching and listening right now, and they want to be in your shoes. You're very aspiring to those people, so keep doing what you're doing, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, thanks so much, man. It's awesome being on here. Thanks for having me, and anytime, man. Just let me know. We got to do some fishing.
Yes.
I'd like to do some fishing with you. You said something earlier, which is the whole thing where you're not the expert. You like being thrust into situations that are uncomfortable. Dude, I love that. When you said that, I'm like, shit, that's me. Because honestly, I feel like that's at this point in my life, I'd rather do that. I'd rather be doing something that's new and fresh. I'd rather be the student. So I'd love to do that with you one day. I really would. I'd jump on that to share a kayak with you, share an experience with you. So definitely, let's hook it up. It'd be my pleasure, man.
Yeah, man. I'm heading north towards the Great Lakes, so I know that's not too close to you, but I am kind of heading your direction from Texas this year. So yeah, man, maybe we can meet up in the middle somewhere or whatever. Or if nothing else, man, we'll get you down to Panama.
I like it. I think we can make it happen. There you have it, everybody. Robert Fields on Ike Live tonight. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks for having me, man.
Go easy on those spotted bass fish tacos.
Oh, God. Already getting the hate comments.
See that? Pete's throwing it at you. Wow. Pete, that's the meanest thing I've ever heard you say to somebody.
Pete and Riz, great meeting you guys.
Man. Great.
Thanks, Robert.
Great having you, man. I'll be watching.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother.
Good luck. All
right. Y'all be good.
All right.
Pete with the fish taco comment. That was pretty mean, Pete.
That's as mean as I get, I guess.
Well, since Dave's not a part of the show, we need somebody to be the dick tonight. It's you.
Dave got escorted out.
Yeah, I know. He did. He forcefully escorted out. But to tackle his question there a little bit, I want to hear you, Mike, weigh in on this too, because I was on the road, and I'm still on the road a fair amount now, but not as much as I used to be. But for about 15 to 17 years, I was on the road.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing for me was it's lonely on the road.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you're fishing, practicing for tournaments, I'm sure it's with him. He's filming. He's got to get these fish captured. And, man, I know when I was preparing for tournaments, a lot of times the only person I would talk to is the person at the convenience store in the morning selling me coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. For weeks at a time. And so being away and that part of it was a challenge, Yeah. And then the financial, scenario was the biggest challenge because you don't have the security of steady income. You got, income that comes in waves. And you got to learn to manage that, and so you're out on your own. Those are the two biggest obstacles I in my experience being on the road.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, it's either it's always that wrestle between it's the best thing in the world and the worst thing,
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, as I get older, it's become more intolerable as I've gotten older, but it's hard, the travel. You got to figure out ways to make it work. You got to figure out ways to alleviate some of that negativity. But I also want to swap it the other way, Pete. I remember it being the best thing in the world, being alone, not having the negativity of what's going on at home, You know, for some of those years in my career, you know, there was shit going on at home that I didn't want to be around, and it was an escape from that. You know, and that's a positive. And the other thing about being on the road, and I feel like it happened more when I was actually driving than competing, but it gave me a lot of time to reflect on stuff, which I think is important in life, you know. And I can remember, you know, a 2-day drive home from a tournament, and you reflect on what you should have did in that tournament. You reflect on what you want to do in your career, your branding. You know, and you start to make notes. And I know, Pete, you're big on that too, and I've always been big on that in my life. But I used to do it on paper. Now I do it on my cell phone. But after being on the road for a week, I come home and I got a list of ideas and notes and all these amazing things that if I wasn't by myself, I don't know if I would have come up with these things, you know. So it's got positives too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Those drives, man, your mind would just wander and go places. A lot of those things that you and I have built together were ideas that
on drives.
That we found on the drives, and I promise you, you know, I have a few wins under my belt on the professional fishing world, but in my mind, I have won every single tournament on that drive home. I have solved every pattern, figured out every mistake.
Yeah.
It's wonderful when you can figure it out before the tournament's over.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it most often happens after the damage has been done on the ride home.
That's right. That's right. And Pete, you hit it right on the head. A lot of those drives home, when me and Pete would be driving home, we'd be on the cell phone talking to each other on these long drive homes. A lot of them were productive. Not that one when we stopped in Atlanta and went out to Buckhead Ridge partying that night. I'm going to forget about that one. Let me remind you, if you're watching tonight, we've got a great show. We've still got a whole nother guest for you. We've got Christina Fisher join us in the second segment. Also, want to remind you, the beer of the night tonight was a Founders Frangelic Mountain Brown. Dude, I am in love with this beer. I cannot wait. As soon as we do this commercial break, I'm getting another one. Woo. It's unbelievable. Also, in the second segment, we've got a MTB live unboxing for you. Only live podcast that does that. Probably. It's going to be great. Probably. We don't really know that. But listen, hang in there with us. When we come back, Christina Fisher and more Ike Live.
4.5-inch drop shot worm. Bama bug. Finesse jig, PB&J. Give me something hard. Hey, KVD here. Now, I didn't always know this much about fishing. 4-aught EWG worm hook. In fact, there was a time when I couldn't tell the difference between a jerkbait and a stickbait. But then I signed up for Mystery Tackle Box, the original monthly tackle subscription. And now I know more about fishing than I do about calculus.
And he knows a lot about calculus.
Plus, I get amazing extras like free fishing magazines. October 2016. Featured article, 4 places to throw a frog. Exclusive decals. Zombie bass. And how-to videos for all the great baits I receive. How to tune a crankbait. Is that underwater footage I smell?
I got goosebumps.
So if you're looking to develop enhanced fishing abilities like me, or you just like getting new tackle every month, go to MysteryTackleBox.com and get your box today. Ooh, live minnows. Is it lunchtime already? Nature's candy. Oh, is he in my pocket?
There's a special place in our hearts for the tools of the trade. They're what we prep for a good day on the water. They're what we clean after a good day in the field. Flambeau's patented Z-Rust technology protects the gear of today from rust and corrosion. Z-Rust, for the performance of tomorrow. Preserve, perform, repeat.
You work hard to catch your fish. TH Marine has 2 products to ensure your fish survive. The Oxygenator injects 100% pure oxygen into your live well. That increases fish survival by 35%. For the perfect combo, add G-Juice Live Well treatment. It calms fish, stops bleeding, removes ammonia, and replaces slime coat. Get an oxygenator and G-Juice and keep your fish alive.
A little sneak peek of our demo run. This is the first time we put the boat in the water. We got to test out our live well and our plumbing. We also ran our Torpedo for the first time. Got to see what this thing can do in the water. It's insane. We're out here on Mike's Lake, July 4th weekend. Check out Mike's reaction. It's priceless.
Dude. Oh my God, dude. Electric. Wow. Success, dude. You are clearly the fastest boat in South Jersey.
I win.
Electric only.
I won.
4.5.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Ike Live. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. I know we are. Just real quick, wanted to say before we get back to the show, thank you for watching and listening to all these Ike Live shows. We've got a brand new plan ahead of us in the next couple months. Of course, you've noticed that every Sunday now we've been kicking out some new shows for you. We've got some really amazing stuff lined up for you, so keep your eye out for some new great shows. And as a reminder, if you're new to Ike Live, if you're listening or watching for the first time, you can go back and listen to old episodes and watch old episodes anytime on IkeLive.com, iTunes, Stitcher, and now Roku and Amazon Fire TV. You can get your Ike Live fix. Listen, we've got a whole nother segment here for you, and this is going to be a good one. If you're a kayak angler, if you're an angler that likes fishing in general, you're going to love our next guest. She's great. She's not only a hammer when it comes to tournament fishing, but she's also a really great person and an inspiration for a lot of people. We've got Christina Fisher joining us just in a second, and we're going to hear her story. She's got a great story.
Yes,
Mind
she
the
does.
Carpenter.
Yes,
she also had some stuff happen recently that we're going to talk to her about. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's a good story.
I'm interested to hear it, man. Because we've been around Christine a few times now, and she's very impressive. She's a tough chick, and I think this situation really required a tough chick. So
right.
We're gonna find. You ready, or you got something you want to cover first?
No. I'd like to get Christine on here as soon as possible. I did want to mention Brian Carpenter. After we have Christine on, we're going to do an MTB unboxing, which is going to be really, really good. And want to remind everybody real quick, if you're watching over on Facebook Live right now, you still have time. Like and share the feed. That's all you have to do. If you do that, you're going to be entered into a contest to win this Ike Live gift bag. And it's, what is it, 20? It's got to be 20 pounds, Brian Carpenter.
Yeah, 120 pounds.
At least 120 pounds worth of product. I'm excited. Let's get Christina on as soon as we can here.
She's ready, bro.
Oh, wow. You've got technology rocking tonight.
Yeah.
Besides the volume thing.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was nice to hang up on Dave, though, I got to admit.
It was good to hang up on
really
Dave,
nice,
wasn't it?
yeah.
But here's the funny thing. I didn't tell you this. So after you hung up on him,
did you get a text?
He sent me a text of a picture of us three in like high school or something. We're real young. And then he sent a picture of like something else, a very derogatory picture.
I'm sure.
And then a comment that said, "Worst producer ever."
He's such a jerk off. Whatever.
It's great though, but you had to expect that from him.
Yeah, he didn't respond to any of mine saying, "Hey, no biggie."
No. All right.
Fuck him.
Listen, if you've been watching tonight, we've had a great show for you. Of course, Robert Field was on the first segment. And I want to say this before we get Christine on. If you talk about inspirational through what they're doing, through videos, through social posts, and this is a big one. And I got to tell you, I'm a fan. I'm a social media junkie, and I follow Christine's social media. And some very, very, very inspirational social posts that really do sort of wake you up, make you think, make you look around what's around you, make you realize what you have. A lot of positivity from her social post as well. But big inspiration for a lot of people. I think changing the sport in a lot of good ways. So happy to have her back on Ike Live.
Yes.
And we've got her here tonight for you. Christina Fisher joins us on the show tonight. Hi there.
Hey, guys.
Hi. I can never get used to this Zoom thing because normally when we have a guest on, the whole room's clapping. Yeah. But now it's just me because Brian's pushing the button. So I'm just like, clapping, and it's just so empty in here,
Yeah. Yep.
That's okay.
So on that note, can you get used to this social distancing thing yet? Because I know Brian and I are having a hard time. We're best of buds, and we have to stay 6 feet apart. I can't bro hug him. I can't high five him. It's very strange. How are you dealing with all the stuff that's going on?
With the social distancing, for me, not a lot has changed, aside from the fact that we don't have tournaments. Aside from, we just had one yesterday, but, where I'm going, what I'm doing, I don't really come in contact with a lot of people. I'm usually out with no cell service in areas where, there just aren't a lot of people. So it really hasn't been that much, but it has given me an opportunity to kind of slow down quite a bit and just kind of recenter and refocus, which, for a while there, I had been going 100 miles an hour nonstop. And it was kind of nice just to get a good pause on life, honestly.
Yeah, so what I agree with you, and I feel the same way, but I'm curious, how much of you is thankful for this pause, and how much of you misses the tournaments and the routine? And, I'm a fish head like you, and I'm a tournament rat like you, and part of me misses it. I am thankful for this time at home, and I'm thankful for the reset, but I'm also like, man, I miss those early days. I miss the map study, late at night. There's a lot of things I miss. And of course, the competition. What's your ratio? Is it 50-50? Is it 60-40?
Man, that's a tough question. Out there, it was awful because, we had, there were 4 or 5 tournaments coming up in a row on lakes that not only was I super confident on, but I loved fishing.
Yeah.
And not being able to fish those, having those canceled, rescheduled, that kind of hurt. But at the same time, I miss the community. I miss seeing the people of, our kayak community is so tight knit, and I miss the hugs and the check-ins and the trash talking to everybody. I missed all that too. But at the same time, I'm going to be real enough to say that I needed a break. I did need kind of a reset. Needed to kind of focus and just take care of me a little bit.
Yeah.
I did miss that grind, and I wasn't not fishing. I was still fishing nearly every day during this whole deal. That's never changed, but I'm competitive by nature, and so that was kind of a tough adjustment. I think 50-50 is probably a really good, accurate representation of that ratio.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Yeah, me too. On the 50% where you had this time to reset, what's your biggest takeaway from the reset? What's the biggest thing that this strange time has given you or has made you realize?
Honestly, prioritizing. For me, I'm so guilty of making fishing kind of like a god, honestly.
Yeah.
Making it my number one, putting 120% effort into fishing and to being successful in that, where I not only neglected myself, but, my friends and family and people close to me, AJ. I really kind of took that for granted. And I get, when I focus in on something and I want to achieve something, it's really hard for me to see anything else outside of that.
Right.
And having that break was kind of like, gosh, I'm probably one of the more driven people out there. And when I focus on something, I forget about everything else going on.
Yeah.
And fishing was kind of, it's an obsession for me. So, and that's good, but it also can be bad. And it kind of helped me see there's a lot of important things out there other than what we love. And that's, the world of fishing. So it kind of helped me see, call my family more often, touch base with my friends, spend quality time with AJ, instead of being on the water for 16 hours every single day.
Yeah.
It kind of helped me remember that, hey, there is life also outside of fishing.
Yeah.
Which sometimes we don't always see that.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. Well said. I feel the same way. This is one of the first questions that I had that I wanted to ask you, because we sent a lot of promos out for the show tonight, and we did have a lot of people that and I want you to clarify this. A lot of people are like, man, Christina Fisher, she's just came out of nowhere the last couple of years, and she's just the last year she's just come out of nowhere, and I want to hear it from you, but I think a lot of people assume that you just showed up and started catching them, and you're like this goddess of fishing that just appeared, but you've been working at it a lot longer than that, right? So clear some of that up for the people that sent those messages, please.
Now that's funny you say that, because I've gotten that too. But people say, "Gosh, like I didn't know who you were, and now you're all over everything, and you just came out of nowhere." Man, that can't be further from the actual truth. It just can't. I've been grinding and working at this for years and years and years, and been very calculated in what I'm doing. And I knew that the method that I chose in this sport wasn't one of immediate growth. It was more of like, do the hard work, do it the right way, do it my way, and eventually the door is going to open. I certainly could have taken several other routes to get that quick fame and that instant success. Trust me, I had those opportunities there, but I didn't want to do it like that.
Right.
So it looks like I just kind of came out of nowhere, but I've been around for a little while. I had a couple really good tournament years where I consistently would cash checks, but I didn't actually win. And nobody cares if you don't win. So I think last year people really took notice because I won 3 national tournaments and had another several other top 5s. But the 3 big wins, I think, kind of catapulted me in that aspect, and people then kind of started looking around. But I mean, I've been doing this for a while and been working my tail off in every capacity. So route to this deal.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, and from afar, I think people can see someone's career or someone's success, and they think it's a lot of times they think it's overnight. But I know you've put the work in. I've seen it. So I want to switch gears, and I want to corner you on something a little bit, which is this weird thing that is gender. And I want to talk about it because we've explored it a little bit on Ike Live in the past with other anglers, but I want to talk to you because you've been so successful. And I know you've said in the past that you never wanted to consider yourself one of the top female anglers. You just wanted to be one of the top anglers. You wanted to be one of the best kayak anglers in the world. You wanted to win championships. And you didn't care about gender. You threw it out the window. Almost to the point where you just didn't even mean anything that you're a woman. But I think something's changed in you a little bit, and with success, right, and with your personality and with your reach, you're affecting young women. There are a lot of young women that are getting involved in the sport because of you. Talk to me a little bit about that, because that's a tricky line there, and I know we've got a lot of females watching the show tonight live, and we're going to have a lot that listen to this podcast down the road. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Whew, that gender one's kind of a tricky one, and I mean you're spot on. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, I came in second or third at a big tournament, and I remember seeing this like local paper about it, and it said first female to ever break the top 10 or something like that. And I was just almost like infuriated that they would even call that out. It's like I didn't want any of the extra attention or accreditation because of my gender. Like I don't want people to say she's a great female angler. If I want to be I just wanted to be a good angler.
Right.
I wanted to earn that respect. And that's why I didn't really ever compete in the women's only tournaments. I wanted to compete against the best out there, period. Male, female, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I was pretty outspoken about that too for a long time. About I didn't want gender to have anything to do with it.
Right.
And it drove me nuts. But that did change a little bit last year. After I won that Kentucky Lake tournament, my first big win last year, the amount of I remember the day after that tournament, I had hundreds of messages from women all over the world, different countries, because I qualified for Worlds and was the first female to ever do that. And guys saying that their daughters were watching and they didn't even care about fishing prior to me winning.
Wow.
And then it kind of clicked, and I was like, man, this is way bigger than me right now. It's way bigger than gender. It's bigger than anything. It's basically telling a whole different audience that they can defy those stereotypes, and they can do it.
Yeah.
And it really helped kind of shed light on our sport and get all these, I had so many messages and pictures of people with their daughters holding fish and saying they want to be just like you, or their daughters would have a picture of me and they wanted to start fishing because they saw me doing it. And I was like, man, that's the good stuff right there.
Yeah.
So I realized that, yes, I don't really want to be considered a female angler, but there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah.
So if I can do what I'm doing as a female, and that's going to turn some heads and get some extra attention and inspire some young gals out there, I mean, I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's complex, but I think you're handling it the right way. And I do have to say this. I was lucky enough to be at the Hobie Championship, Brian the Carpenter, this year down at Lake Ouachita, and it was the neatest thing. I can't remember. It was at Lake Seminole. I'm sorry, it was at Lake Seminole event, and it was the Super Bowl. That's right. It was a Super Bowl party, right? That's right. It was a Super Bowl party. And you guys had just finished that event in Bainbridge. And a lot of the anglers came together for this just watching the Super Bowl, hanging out. And I've never seen a community like the kayak community. It's such an amazing thing to see it, because I come from the competitive Bass Pro world where everybody wants to kill each other. Like literally, everybody's like conspiring to slash your tires, slit your throat. But the feeling there was so unbelievable. It was just so tight knit. But nobody, Christine, nobody has considered you like this female angler. Be careful, take it easy. You were just one of the guys. No. You were just one of the anglers. And I loved it. I was sitting back watching. I'm like, this is great. Like, it's such a great feeling when you weren't set aside. You weren't put on a pedestal. You were just one of the anglers. You were just one of them, I really felt that. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's what's really cool about it. Like, my whole life, I'm a textbook tomboy ever since I was a 2-year-old. I had sleepovers with guys when I was in elementary, and I just always gravitated towards the guys. And that was that carried in. I worked up in a Shields, and I was the only female of 30 hardliners selling guns and working on bows in the archery department. That's kind of been my whole life.
Yeah. And
then getting into the kayak community, I literally feel like I gained 1,000 big brothers and dads and grandpas all over the country.
Yeah.
They've never treated me like anything other than what I am, which is an angler that loves to, kick back and BS a little bit and try to catch some fish.
Yeah. Yeah. And that it's true. It's true. The kayak community is great. Really tight knit. Let me remind you, if you're watching or listening right now, you've got a question or comment for Christine or anything you're listening to right now, please hit us up on the IMs. Also hit us up on our social media feeds, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ike Live Show. Rich, I think we've got a ton of IMs already sitting. You want to pass some through? What do we got?
For sure. First comment, it's kind of just a funny one, but Ed Radar said, Christine seems like the girl that would shotgun a beer at a party and then steal your truck while you're not looking.
I've done that.
You've done that. Wow.
That's about right. That's about right. And Frankie on the message board wants to know, Christine, right now, what's your biggest goal that you're looking to achieve next in your bass fishing career?
Man, so I've got a lofty goal, and some people are probably going to laugh when they hear this, but I think every angler has this ultimate goal, and I want to qualify for the elites, and then I want to qualify for the classic, and then I want to win a classic.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's what's been that way for a while, but I mean, how could you not be in that arena and not want? I mean, I keep been there several times. Like, how could you not want to be on that stage? And just that's what I want. That's my lofty goal of the next couple decades.
Wow,
for sure. And Epic Eric wants to know, Christine, what's your favorite technique to bass fish?
Bass fish? Gosh, I got on a really good top water bite today, and specifically a big walking bait. And they were, for me, I'm very action oriented. I'm a power fisherman. I love, obviously the chatterbait, spinnerbait, search baits. That stuff's awesome. But man, if you're like walking a big frog through pads, or you're walking a big walking bait, I love seeing fish just blow up. I mean, that's got to be one of my favorites. And I like skipping those frogs like way up under stuff, and then feeling that reward of like pulling a 6-pounder out of button bushes and all this. I just like that. I like stuff that makes you work for it. And I love those big blow ups.
What's your favorite place to fish?
Favorite place? Bass fish? Lake St. Clair, hands down.
Okay.
Hands down.
It's a pretty good.
I remember you
fishery.
telling a story. Hi, Christine. I've been kind of quiet.
I see you.
Yeah, I apologize, Pete. I'm stealing the whole thing, because here's the thing. You've got to interview Christine already several times. This is my first time taking reins of my own show here, Pete.
I know. I don't want to cut in on your action.
No, I appreciate that. But I'm sorry cutting you off so long.
But it's good to see you again. I know, I've spoke to you at the Classic a few times, and it's always great. You're always very fascinating and interesting to talk to, and you're the real deal. And you can really catch them. I know me and Mike have been waiting for the first woman to make it to the top, bass levels and get to the Classic, and that's coming. And so it's great to see you climbing. But you mentioned Lake St. Clair. I remember you telling me about fishing Lake St. Clair at the Classic. And it's just amazing. Mike, she's telling us about being out in her kayak in 5 and 6 foot waves, massive wind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how we talk about, Mike, how to navigate that stuff in our bass boats? Well, you were telling, and just touch on it here, because I think it's amazing, like how you have to, you can't get parallel to the waves. How do you keep yourself upright and from getting into trouble when you're out in that real big stuff in a kayak?
Yeah.
Very carefully, Pete. It's very, very calculated, and a lot of luck, I think, is probably involved. No, but seriously, honestly, so like I said, there was one other boat out there for like 2 hours, and it got so bad for them that they ended up going in, and they were taking water over the front. And I think with the kayak, if you know what you're doing, you're able to kind of ride those waves out just a little bit better. Now I was attempting to stand up because I was musky fishing, and I hate musky fishing sitting down. It's awful. That was challenging. It got really, really, really bad, and I had to finish out my day sitting down. But yeah, it was, unfortunately the bite was so good. Like, you can't, people are going to be really upset about this because it probably wasn't smart for me to be out there, but you can't not be out there. Yeah. Like, it was nonstop musky fishing. It was insane. That boat had a hard time calling it quits, and I eventually did. I wanted to stay all night, but I didn't. I made the right call and I came in. But as long as you kind of know how to keep your kayak oriented with those big swells, and you're aware of your surroundings, and I had the right equipment on. I had a live vest. I had the right suit on. Everything like you. But man, what a trip! That's awesome.
That is amazing, because most guys in bass boats they're not launching in those conditions. So it's really a testament to your toughness and how much you love it. You're out there after it, and I see it like a lot of ladies on their Facebook feed tonight. Lisa says, "I can't wait to hear from a successful female," and there's so many of them are just you're a trendsetter. You're inspiring lots of women, and I hope and all fishermen in general. So congratulate you on that, and look forward to what comes next for you.
Christine, I got one more. Ryan Hambert on the message board wants to know. He wants you to talk about your previous career as a yoga instructor.
It wasn't yoga. It was a Pilates, which is essentially physical therapy on steroids. And I'm going to be real honest with you all. I didn't know what Pilates even was when I was approached with that opportunity. I was working up in the gun department, and I was sitting there. I just sold a Browning A5 shotgun to a guy, and one of the older guys in his 60s was part-time. Yeah, good shotgun. That one. But I was sitting there and I was like, Alan, I love what I do. I love the stuff I'm working with, but I'm not made for a 9-to-5 corporate job. I was taking all kinds of vacation, all kinds of solo trips. I was traveling all the time, and having to get back and punch that time clock was killing me. And he's like, well, my wife makes a lot of money, very successful, makes her own hours, and owns a Pilates studio in town. And she's looking for an instructor. And I was like, what the heck is Pilates? Like, I didn't exercise. I didn't know what that even was. But he said, what got me was the freedom to make your own schedule. So I ended up calling her, and I am a textbook fly by the seat of your pants type of person. So not even 2 days after I spoke with her, I paid $15,000, flew to Colorado twice a month for a year, got certified, quit Shields eventually, and I started teaching Pilates, and I ended up loving it.
Wow. It
was an incredibly just rewarding career. I made my hours. I had awesome clients that I still keep in contact with today. And the best part about it is, like, I was goose hunting and there was a good push day, and I was supposed to have an 8, 9, a 10, and 11. I would just text my clients and say, hey guys, like, can we push this back 2 or 3 hours? No problem. So I'd go out and hunt for the morning.
Wow.
And then come in, work. And so, yeah, that was a good transitional phase in my life, and allowed me to travel and start fishing tournaments.
Wow. Here's the interesting thing, real quick. I want to bring up this fact. Our very own Pete Glusick, the dean, actually took one Pilates class before, but he was officially banned from all of them after he had camel toe.
He shit his pants.
No, he had camel toe during the Pilates. So he's banned from all New Jersey studios anymore. Is
that true? I feel like we need to hear that story.
Pete, come on. I know you're embarrassed, but just admit to it. We're being honest here tonight on Ike Live.
Dude, I am totally into yoga, man. I'm
See,
doing.
I told you.
I'm in. Camel toe and all.
Okay. All right. Camel toe and all.
All right.
Yoga's powerful, man. That's a very difficult. I've never done Pilates, but yoga, man, it really helps me in my fishing and my flexibility, and it's a lot more difficult than people think it is.
It's a martial art. It's a martial art that you do against yourself.
It's a cool way to describe it.
Yeah. It sucks, dude. It sucks. You got your muscles burn and start shaking in ways that you never can do it, like lifting weights or like what I normally do.
I did it once, and I did it at a time in my life when I was in good shape, and it was the worst fucking thing I've ever done. It was terrible.
It is pain and suffering, man. Everybody thinks, oh, I'll do yoga, relax, get in tune with my inner self. It's just pure pain and suffering the entire time.
Bunch of old guys here. I want to switch gears, Christina. I want to talk about something that happened recently, and a lot of us got to see your social media post about it. But I do want to talk a little bit about it, because I think we've all had something, a situation like that happen in our life, whether it's a car accident or a boating accident or a freak thing that happens. For me, I've had several in my career. I was ejected out of a boat once. I put a boat up in the woods one time. I've had a lot of these experiences where it was really scary, really, potentially, a life-changing situation. And you went through one recently. Walk us through it. Not the whole thing, but, a little bit about what happened. And, has it, being so, it only happened a couple weeks ago. Are you a changed person from that happening? Has that affected you at all in your life? I've
had a lot of people kind of reach out about that, and just to brief you all, I was in a really bad car accident a week ago. My AJ and I had been, kind of holed up in the mountains at his boss's house during all this COVID thing, and we had finally, after about a month and a half of being there, loaded up our trucks. I mean, my truck is always loaded down with gear, but it was even more so loaded down because I had all of my hunting stuff too, because I thought I was going to turkey hunt. So my back seat, couldn't see out the windows. My front seat had 3 bags, a case of reels, and my laptop on top of it. And those mountain roads, there's no room for error. There's shoulder. And I went not even a minute after leaving his boss's house, coming around the first corner, everything started to fall over on me. And I reached over just for a second to stop my laptop from falling. And my passenger side front wheel dropped off of the side, and it's a straight drop off. And I just knew, I was only going 15, 20 miles an hour. So I just put my hand back on the steering wheel and just kind of tensed up and braced for it. And it rolled down, and I landed on my driver's side. All my gear was on top of me. My cell phone was dead because we had left at 6 a.m. That was the worst part, is my phone, I had just plugged it in when we left his boss's house, and it takes iPhones forever to turn on. Yeah. So I couldn't even call anybody. And the first thing I did was turn my truck off, because that's what you're supposed to do when you're I've been in accidents before. It wasn't my first rodeo, but it was, I had to turn the key back on just to wait for my phone to charge so I could call AJ, who was waiting for me at the bottom of the mountain, because we took 2 different routes to get down there. It was, wow. It just happened so fast, and it's like I had all my stuff ready in my truck, everything ready to go, and I was looking forward to that next moment, and it's like life just was like, no, that's not going to happen like that. I wasn't really scared. I've been in so many brushes with death over the course of my life that I'm not necessarily numb to it, but I knew I was okay. That's the first thing I did. I was pretty calm. I said toes. I did feel a bunch of liquid dropping on my head, and that kind of freaked me out. But then I tasted it, and it was Listerine. So I had my toiletries back there, and it was like dropping on my head, and I was like, oh my God, it's gasoline. My truck's going to blow up. This is not good. But then I tasted it, and it was like, oh, that's Listerine. Great. I shouldn't have probably walked away from that one. The ambulance and the police officers that were there, they just were amazed that, 1, I was okay, and 2, that I was alive. That kind of shook me just a little bit. It's just how fast that can happen, and it makes you kind of think, like, what's really important in life, and tell people that you love them all the time. Because it really can. Yeah. I'm one of those people that are guilty of thinking I'm invincible all the time because of what I do and the type of life that I lead, and we're not. Our time could be tomorrow, it could be right now, it could be anytime. Yeah. And it's just one of life's really good reminders. Yeah. Yeah.
You got out of that without any injuries, any serious injuries, Christine?
I mean, I had a pretty good cut right here. I had a little bit of a black eye. I had some definitely have some neck pain and just some pain from where the seatbelt was. But I mean, I was fishing 2 days later. So,
there you go.
Obi
was all right.
That was the best thing. That truck was loaded with, I had 20 rods in my truck. In my kayak, and I had 3 of them in the front seat. All my rods were fine. All my reels were fine. Everything was fine. I couldn't believe it. The truck rolled like down a mountain, and everything was good. It was just a wild. The truck was not good, obviously, but all my gear was great. So
Wow.
When you started the roll and when you got to the bottom, was your first thought, am I okay, or is my fishing gear okay? What came through your mind first?
Well, I think you all know the answer to that. I kind of like looked out of the corner of my eye at my New Legend Extreme, and I was like, oh, it's not broken. That is a good day. That is a good day. Then I thought about my kayak, and then I was like, I'm good. I mean, I knew I was good. I kind of got knocked out for just a split second, but as soon as I landed, you can just tell right away if you're okay. You know, I didn't feel any pain anywhere. I didn't feel I could move my body a little bit. So I knew I was fine, and then that's when you just can relax a little.
Yeah. Well, it happens so quick, and it does tend to put things in perspective a little bit. So we're glad you're okay. I do want to talk about something else, which is it's pretty appealing to a lot of people. And of course, we had Robert on, Christine, right before you came on, and he sort of fits this MO and this lifestyle, and you guys too as well. You and AJ both. Your life, you know, you're kind of this, and there's a lot of other young couples as well that people are following. There's Carl Jochimson and Kayla, Brandon and his girlfriend, and a lot of Justin Lucas. A lot of younger anglers are living this lifestyle of, you know, camping. You know, you're in your fifth wheel, your travel trailer, your pop-up, and you're sort of just living life. You're doing your passion. You're fishing, you're hunting, you're camping, you're living your life on the road. So many people like dream of this. It's their ultimate dream. Talk a little bit about this, because I think, you know, you guys are sort of the poster couple for this movement and this lifestyle. But is it, for people that are at home watching and listening right now and they're saying, God, I wish I could be there. I wish I could be doing what they're doing. Is it a dream life like it appears to be? I think it looks pretty damn good, but I got to hear from you.
Well, yeah. So actually, I listened to Robert's segment. I'm going to have to agree with him on a lot of what he said and kind of put this into perspective. For me and the type of person that I am and how I am wired, yes, it is 100% a dream.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. I love it. But I'm cut from a very different cloth than a lot of people out there. And, you know, like Robert said, social media does such a great job of like romanticizing this road life.
Yeah.
But the truth is, and the hard truth is, a lot of people are not cut out for road life. They're just not. Different in that aspect, and I always have been. My family's kind of like that. So I think you have to, the small percentage that probably could really enjoy and thrive in this lifestyle, as I'll add on to what Robert said, it's fear that's holding them back. It's they want that security, that comfort. The security is a big thing.
Yeah.
And they don't want to, they won't want to risk this. They don't want to say, well, I don't want to leave my house or my routine or what I've done or my job or my 401k or all of this. That's a scary thing to give all of that up.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps 99.9% of the people out there from truly living their life how they were supposed to, how we were destined. And that's to, I think, make an impact on the world. And most of us don't, because it's tough to take that big leap, because fear is extremely binding.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with this life on the road. For those that, you know, it could work for, I mean, it's not easy. There are things that really suck about it. You know, like hot water is a hot commodity. And, you know, if you can get it for longer than 3 or 4 minutes for most of us. AJ's always complaining about the water leaking in here or this or that. For me though, I'm happy. Like I could live in my truck. That's how simple I am when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
And I've slept at boat ramps and slept in the trunk of a car and my whole life, like on my travels. So that I love that. I love the adventure of it, but it's not pretty. It's not roses. There are downs. There are flat tires and breakdowns and no help and ACs that blow out, and you know it's life.
Yeah,
it's definitely definitely not all roses and unicorns and kittens, though.
Yeah, I think, and you're right. You know, social media does sort of heighten the highs and mask the lows a little bit. But I got to tell you, from afar, watching you guys, watching you and AJ and Carl and Kayla, and it looks amazing. I think you guys need to start posting more of like you changing the poop pipe. And you know, like all the really dirty stuff of camp life, you know, as Aaron Martins would say, you know, a dirty campsite, you know, pulling up to one that's, you know, got diapers laying everywhere or something. That's the stuff you need to post to put people back into reality. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you need to post some of that. Let me remind you, you're watching Christina Fisher right now. If you've got a question, hit us up on the IM. Also over on social media, hit us up on Ike Live Show. I want to tell you this, and I haven't officially announced this, Brian Carpenter. You didn't even know this was coming. Pete, Riz, nobody knew this was coming tonight.
What's coming?
And I think this is the right time for me to make an announcement. I'm not going to hold it like I normally do. Announcement. I'm not going to hold it. I'm just going to let it out right now. Before I do that, though, I want to read through some stats. Christine, I'm going to put you on the spot and just read through some of these unbelievable stats. There's actually too many. You know, last year, three big wins. Of course, Hobie on Kentucky, Chickamauga, KBF event, Southeast Regional, KBF event. Man, all these seconds, a lot of top tens. It's unbelievable. 2018, I go back there, and I'm looking at least 10 top tens in 2018. Unbelievable stats. And here's what I want to announce officially. I'm here to announce that I'm going to be competing against you in a Hobie BOS event. Yes! In the first week of October on Lake Dardanelle. So I want to give myself a round of applause just for trying to hang with Christina. I know I'm going to get my ass beat really bad, but here's what I'm going to say to you. And I'm being real here. This isn't a setup. This isn't in notes. This is going to be a first for me. I've never fished a big kayak event like this. I'm actually, even though it's months away, I'm a little nervous. I'm intimidated. I fished Dardanelle before, a little comfort there, but this is all new. Give me a couple pieces of advice, Christine. Give me some advice for fishing my first major kayak tournament. Because I'm actually, honestly, I've been talking to our guy Charles over here. I'm nervous, like a little bit. Throw me like 2 good pieces of advice for preparing or getting myself ready for this first event.
Okay, so you're going to be competing against me. Here's what I'm going to tell you.
Don't show up.
And Whopper Plopper drop shotted in like 30 foot of water.
Whopper Plopper in 30 foot of water.
Time.
Huh.
No, but in all seriousness, this is advice for bass boat guys coming into the kayak world. Legitimate, solid advice. Because I see this a lot. When I just fished a tournament yesterday, and that BBT, that Big Bass Tour, Big Bass Trail, whatever it is, boat tournament was going on during our local kayak tournament here in Chickamauga. And the bass boat guys are notorious for, if you know there's fish in the area, don't leave your fish.
Right.
Don't leave them. They'd cycle. They just, when you have 250 horsepower behind you, you can get up and run. And man, I can't tell you how many times just that slight barometric pressure change or just a tiny bit of change in the wind or something will fire those fish right back up. And It's like bam, 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 bam. There's 3 big coals like just right there in 5 minutes, and you would have missed it.
Yeah, Ike's screwed.
Really get to know that area, methodically.
That's going to be. I'm glad
Riz has. I'm sorry, Mike. Riz has absolutely no chance of following this advice.
Hey. Yeah.
I know it's not easy.
Off the kayak. Yeah.
No, it's a great.
Started off kayak bass fishing, as a matter of fact.
It's a great. It's a good piece of advice.
And everything came about. I was toting around and I still have the kayak. I duck hunt out of it, and now even my dad uses it sometimes. He'll drop it in the boat he'll drop it in the lake by his house. But I started fishing out of a kayak, standing up in it at the Salem Canal, paddling all the way to DuPont's, and so.
Yeah, I've never seen Riz make more than 5 casts in one spot and run to the next.
We're learning, we're adjusting, we're moving with the tide.
Yeah, that will be a learning curve for me, and I do see that. I see it. You know, I've been on the sideline here for a few years now, watching you guys compete, and I see that maximizing an area is so much more important. I read your write-up from your win on Kentucky Lake, Christina. I know you made a decision to stay on that second day instead of leave, how critical that was. So it's going to be I appreciate that advice because it's going to be tough for me to not want to run around. So I like that. Give me a second one. Give me a second piece of advice I need to prepare for.
So a second piece of advice, this is a big one. I actually found this out yesterday and in many of my tournaments. Really do your map study and look for those bodies of water that you would never in a million years not only think of fishing, but that bass boats can't get to.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many tournaments are won in areas where you can't get a boat. And those fish are so incredible in how they can get back into these areas. And like on Lake Fork, there's 10 pounders that spawn behind where boats try to get. You'll see them trying to get back in there and then even go even further, and there they are. And you couldn't even dream of getting back there.
Yeah.
But you got to just be creative and look. I mean, I spend a lot of time looking for that, trying to weasel through culverts and get back into these little creeks and stuff.
Yeah.
And man, there's big fish that live there, those big resident fish. So really it's cool because in a kayak, and this, like, man, you're limitless to where you can go.
Yeah. And
don't rely on your. Yeah, have you fished Dardanelle before, like in the boat?
I've fished Dardanelle before, in a full size boat. So I have a layout of where the big boats can get, but I think I got a few ideas of where I remember where I couldn't get. The interesting thing about Dardanelle, it fluctuates a lot too. So depending on water level is, you can and can't get in places. So there is a little fluctuation, but I do love that about kayak. There is no place you can't go. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. I know we've got a few more IMs coming through, and before we get to those, I do have one other thing. And remember, Christine, this is Ike Live, so you've got to tell the truth. That's the one rule on this show. That's it. I want let me before I even pose this to you, I do want to tell you that everybody listening and watching as well, I'm gonna, when I fish this event, whether it's Dardanelle, and I'm pretty sure at this point it's going to be Dardanelle. If not, it'll be the one over in on the Coosa River. It's going to be one of those two. I plan on doing it right. Like I know the deal. I'm going to show up with my PA-12. I got a PA-12 360. I'm going to practice on my own. I'm going to put my time in with my kayak. I'm going to do it the right way. A few years back, thank you. A few years back, there was another bass angler, and I won't even say his name. Let's do it this way. Maybe it's better this way. I won't even say his name. Excuse me. There was another bass guy that entered one of the big kayak events.
That's right.
And he practiced for weeks in his full-size bass boat, laid 1,000 waypoints down, and then went out and won the event. And I
was there.
Yeah, I followed the social media stuff, and I know there was a lot of grumbling about that. How do you feel about that? And if there's other bass guys watching, how do you feel about that? So they know what kind of the kayak community's thinking.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. If that's what you think you need to do to have an upper hand, I mean, you're the one that's got to sleep with it at night. I don't like it. I would never do it. If it's a kayak tournament, get in a kayak and practice in a kayak. It's a completely different type of fish.
Yeah.
Come on.
For even just a couple years ago, Hobie allowed it, that you could get in with a bass boat and fish. And there was a guy that flew in, drove around the lake with his buddy, and had his buddy put him on a couple of schools and basically said, take your pick of these schools out here on these ledges. And the guy ended up doing pretty good. But it's like, man, you didn't earn that.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't really work for it. You didn't earn it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's okay. And I have a lot of respect for guys that do it in the kayak, that fish in the kayak, practice in a kayak, practice how you're going to do in the tournament.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, Ike, like if you got to practice in a bass boat to feel good and get that confidence and get out there and compete, I got no problem with that. I mean, I'll compete. I'll still do my best and try to take your lunch money if I can. But yeah, I'm not a big fan. If it were up to me and I were a TD, I'd oust that rule in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't want to be that angler that does that. I want to do it the right way. I'm willing. I want to take some ass beatings, Brian the Carpenter.
Oh.
Because I honestly want to.
Sounds kinky.
No, I don't mean it that way. I'm just saying I want to get better. I want to, I want to legitimately try to win one of these kayak events.
Have your ass beaten.
Yeah.
Spanked.
Right. If it's not this year, next year, I really want to try to win one. And my bigger goal, by the way, even if I don't win, is...
Red cheeks.
No, is to qualify for the same tournament that I had to be at last year. I was there representing Hobie. I got to meet everybody and talk to everybody. It was great. But the whole time I'm there, I'm thinking, God, I wish I was fishing. I wish I was fishing this championship event. So that's really an underlining goal, is to try to get to that event up in Knoxville. So that'll be great. All right, Rich, I know you've got IMs waiting. Let me get back to you. Riz, what do you got coming through here?
Yeah, Dave's 1970 mustache said, Mike, just go ahead and give up now.
They want me to wave the white flag already?
Yeah, and Ed's radar says, Christine, don't be so kind. Just call it like it is. If you need a bass boat to fish a kayak tournament, you're a piece of shit.
Oh.
Ooh. I was thinking douche.
Can I say that on Ike Live?
that was heavy from Ed's radar.
That's kind of what I thought.
Honestly, Christine, why isn't that outlawed? Why isn't that part of the rules where you have to practice out of the same boat that you compete in?
Hey man, I don't write the rules. I just play by them and play by my own rules. There's a couple entities out there where I think they just want to get as many people as they can to compete, and so they are pretty lax on those types of things. But
gotcha.
That is what it is. There's a lot of and there's a lot of people that think, well, if it's allowed, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And they're, it's not against the rule, and they can do it. I personally just wouldn't ever.
Not only that, it was his home body of water, right?
Yeah, he had a house. I think he won right in front of his house, if I remember right.
Geez.
Yeah. But, I mean, we gave him run for his money. I had him on day. But then his fish started biting. So that's okay.
And the maybe real fake Dave Lefebvre says that he had to use a bass boat because he's using 13 fishing equipment.
I didn't say it.
Oh,
hey,
man.
Now. That's nice.
Wow.
Unnice.
Unnice.
That is unnice.
That's very, 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 very unnice. I've got one, Christine, I'm looking over here on Instagram, and I've got one from Kincaid. Kincaid wants to know, Christine, I'm a Hobie owner as well. What's one or two of the key upgrades or modifications that I have to make to my Hobie?
Modifications or upgrades? Well, I would say the turbo fins, but they all come with that now. That was a big one for me. If he doesn't have the kick-up fins, that was new last year.
Yeah.
So if you've got any boat that's older than a 2019, those kick-up fins are unreal.
They're awesome.
Like lakes like Caddo and Lake Fork, where you hit a stump and you'd be screwed. Kick-up fins are huge. Other than that, just a real simple one, that kayak cushion. $50 little padding, that thing makes a freaking world of difference. Just on when you're sitting in a kayak as long as a lot of us are, all day long. That thing's pretty sweet. That, and then in that center hatch deal, that square hatch. I like putting the square hatch there because I store all my high volume plastics, I like to call it. ones that I know I'm going to be using on tournament day, so I can fit like 20 bags of plastics right there instead of that vertical deal with the tackle boxes. Those are just some simple ones that I do, aside from electronics and all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. That's a good one.
Christine, Sato Max on Facebook wants to know, do you do any fitness to prepare for your kayak tournaments? And if you do, specifically, what are your exercises?
Oh, boy. My fitness for kayak tournaments would be kayak fishing. I fish, I do have one thing I'll add to that, but I'm literally on the water darn near every single day. That's about the best way to get in shape. But I will tell you another thing. So I've noticed, once I stopped doing Pilates and, started not taking care of like my body in that regard, I started getting, from casting and reeling, I would get a lot of fatigue in my shoulders, my rotator cuff, and get a lot of tension in my upper neck. One super quick way to alleviate that, there's 3 main nerves that kind of run down your arm. So I'll do this all the time. I'll put my hand up against a wall, like flat palm like that, and then just lean. Oh, see, it hurts so good. It stretches all of those nerves down and helps kind of alleviate that pressure that anglers will typically get from just, we're usually hunched over and we're casting, we're reeling, and we have awful posture when we're doing it. So just a quick stretch like that. I'll do it. You'll see me doing it all the time. And you'll feel it all the way down into your fingers.
We're all doing it right now, by the way. The entire cast right now is. I don't have a wall, but I'm trying it right now.
Yeah, I mean, do it. Seriously, like, stand up and put your hand out there, and you have to make sure your hand is against the wall and it's straight, and then just lean over, and you should feel that all the way down into your.
Wow.
Ugh.
Man, I tell you, if Pete tried this right now, his arm would just fall off. He's so old.
A lot of wear and tear on these shoulders.
You just see a little puff of smoke.
You musky fish for just 8 years, and you'll have that too.
Oh man, Christine, I want to get into a close here, but I do want to call you the plate on this. You've got Hobie events coming up. You're fishing the BASS events coming up. What's your goals for the rest of the year? We've got the whole summer and fall here ahead of us. Give us your goals for the rest of the year.
Well, I wanted to, bass coming onto the game was pretty exciting for us. It brought a lot of exposure and maybe a little validity to our sport. I wanted to qualify for their classic next year, and I did that in the first tournament. I cashed a check and got 20th, I think, out of the 240. So that was kind of taken care of. But my ultimate goal, I guess, for the season, that to see Ike, I mean, I want to qualify for that again. I was fortunate enough to qualify last year with a good performance, but this year I think it's going to be even tougher since they made it the top 3.
Yeah.
I want to make it to that TOC. That's another, and I want to win another big tournament. It's always just such a awesome thing. Like it's good to be consistent, but I want to win another big one. I want to qualify for TOC. I want to be there with the 50 best in our sport. There's going to be a lot more at stake at this one, and that's kind of the ultimate goal. Hobie has really catapulted the tournament scene and brought up this elite style tournament. And it's if y'all haven't fished it, I would highly encourage you guys to. It's pretty spectacular. So I want to be there, and I'm going to work my tail off. I've got some opportunity coming up. Kentucky Lake, hopefully still go, and I've got some confidence on that one. So I'm kind of banking on a couple of those.
Yeah. Well, good luck. I've got the same aspiration. I'd love to be at that event this year, and I can't wait to fish my first official kayak tournament. Definitely excited about that. Christine, real quick before we let you go, if there's people watching or listening that for some reason they're under a rock and they haven't been following you, give them a couple. What's your social media handle? How can they follow you and what you're doing day to day?
Yeah, absolutely. So Instagram is where I probably post the most. That's Midwest Fisher Gal. I put a lot of my inspirational long narratives on there. If people take the time to read, thank you ahead of time. I did start a YouTube, I think about almost a year ago now. I'm pretty new to that, but I put all my tournaments up there. I will put my tournament yesterday up here in a couple days, and I think that's just Christine Fisher. I don't even really know what my deal is on that, but I think it's Christine Fisher, and then Facebook just Christine Fisher. Is it? Thanks, Riz. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm still learning.
Riz is stalking you. I don't know if you knew that. He's stalking.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Gotta love those stalkers.
He's hoping you have a twin on Tinder.
No, I just said I reposted some of her stuff in our stories, man. Come on.
Hey, if I have a twin, she better not be on Tinder. I'm telling you that right now. I'm telling you that right now. I'm gonna have to talk with that twin. That's not a good place to be.
Tinder, that's where you find a great guy. Tinder. Is
that right? Are you on Tinder, Riz?
Only when I'm traveling.
Riz is on everything. Riz is on every app, every dating app you can imagine, but he's had his most success on the PetSmart app. I don't know if you knew that.
PetSmart.
I don't know where that's going, but hey, maybe. I mean, I got a dog,
Christine, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. It was great catching up with you, and the stories, the inspiration. You're doing a lot of great things for the sport, and I gotta thank you, because as somebody I'm very, very conscious. I'm very conscious of getting new people involved. I'm very conscious of getting young people involved. You're doing a great job of doing that, and I gotta thank you for doing that. Yes. So. Can't thank you enough for coming on the show tonight, and wish you the best of luck the rest of the year.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'm stoked to compete against you this year, and thank you guys for having me. It's always a good chat.
Thank you. Have a good one. There you have it, man. I love it. Great conversation. Hell of an angler. I know I'm going to get my ass kicked. I've prepared myself for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I'm okay with that. I ain't afraid to get beat. You know what I mean? It's okay.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I didn't want to admit it in front of her.
Yeah.
But
I know I'm going to get my ass kicked. I've already I've prepared myself for it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I like that.
With it. I'm okay with that.
I get to hear myself.
I'm afraid to get beat. You know what I mean? It's okay. Yeah. I didn't want to admit it in front of her. Yeah. I know I'm going to get my ass
kicked. We're listening to the whole show back.
I've prepared myself for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I like that. With it. I'm okay with that. I get to hear myself.
It's over and
you know
over.
What I mean? It's okay. Yeah. I didn't want to admit it in front of her.
All right, it's over now.
Christine was still on.
Okay.
Off the rails.
That was awesome.
That was something else.
Did you hear that?
What was going on?
Yeah.
Pete, I felt like it was the Baseline DJs days, utmost in professional dance entertainment. All over again.
Hey, Rich, maybe you can clean that up tomorrow.
Those of you watching live, you just got a bonus DJ segment by Brian the Carpenter.
Yeah, edit out that and Dave calling in.
Yeah, edit Dave calling in too.
Yeah. No, but what I was going to say was Rich and I fished against Charles on Friday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I need to hear about that a little bit. Yeah.
So Rich and I drove up to
we don't got to talk about this.
Yeah.
to Spruce Run.
Yeah.
It's to about hour 40 north.
A little Ike Live virtual bass tournament.
Yeah. Man on man.
Yeah.
You know, heads up.
Right.
The three of us.
Right.
I was in the Ike Live John boat. Rich was in his bass boat, and Charles was in his kayak.
Right.
So
no way. First of all, no way. The bass boat and the John boat. They should always beat a kayak, but it didn't happen that way.
It didn't happen.
Oh,
right.
Tell me about this.
Well, Charles whooped our ass.
Wow.
Man, my batteries were dead at 9:30 a.m.
Yeah, Rich
because the lake is 7 miles long.
Yeah.
And Charles knows all the good spots.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, you got to come over here to this side of the lake.
Yeah.
So all he did was tell me where the best spot was, but it was 4 miles down the lake. And by the time I got there, my batteries were dead, and the wind blew me back to the other side.
Oh my God! Wow.
No excuses though, right?
Yeah, but you know, it just shows you like the number one, the most important thing in fishing is getting around the fish.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And then you got to catch them.
Yeah.
But you got to be around them.
Right.
And you know, and Charles, you know, he knows the lake. It's where he's from. And however, he still whooped our ass and took 2 conference calls.
Wow.
And I went a hard 8, man. I was fishing like a maniac.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had the bites.
Yeah.
You know, I actually did have the bites to compete with them.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Wow.
It was it was a lot of fun.
I like Spruce.
Oh,
Spruce is
dude,
a good lake. Any smallmouth caught or all large?
Oh, Charles caught one, I think.
I caught one.
Riz caught a smallmouth. Okay.
Yeah.
How did you guys compete? Was it like weight or inches or what were you?
So we competed on the Fish Donkey app. It was catch,
inches.
photograph, release.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
Charles
like
had 82, I had 73, and Rich had like 45 or something, which, you know, ain't bad considering he did have dead batteries.
Yeah.
So.
I like it. I like it.
I was drifting. I literally was drifting for the second half of the day, and I was just flipping as the wind was blowing me by. So
At no miles an hour.
It's good though because it's quiet. You're not spooking them. You're trolling them.
Yeah. I probably would have caught less if I had batteries.
That's right.
That's awesome. Listen, this is the part of the show I know a lot of you have been waiting for. First of all, Robert and Christine were great, awesome guests.
Indeed.
But Ike Live is the official podcast that does a live unboxing. And Brian the Carpenter, we've got a nice, crisp, fresh. Actually, I smell this. You can almost smell these MTB boxes when they're fresh. This is a fresh, crisp mystery tackle box. This is the Pro Box we're opening up tonight, Brian the Carpenter. I always say this. I'm going to put up to the mic. One of the best parts of a new box. Pete, you know this too. Listen. There it goes. You heard that seal break right there. And there it goes. That's a better seal break. And we're going to be opening up this box. And Brian the Carpenter's got one. Pete's got one. I don't know if Riz has one or not.
No, we don't need to open up 4 free
we don't need to open up 4 boxes. But going to go through here a little. And, man, I'm looking through my box. We've got some interesting stuff here. Okay, and I'm going to go with this one. Brian the Carpenter, you want me to hand you this box?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay, and this is great. Once again, one of the benefits of MTB, it comes to your doorstep once a month. Literally to your doorstep. You open up this box, and it puts in front of you a lot of cool new baits, new techniques and lures that are hot and trendy, but also lures that you might not normally use. And Pete and Riz, look at this one. Watch this one, because I want to show this. Brian Carpenter as well. This is a bait by Lunker Hunt. It's Lunker Hunt is actually Mike Hunt's brother.
That's right.
Lunker Hunt. And this is called the Yappa bug. Okay? Pete, this is a cicada. What's the correct
Cicada.
John Cicada imitation?
Potato.
Dude, I've seen days out there. Pete, verify this with me. I've seen days when they're sucking these things off the top. A cicada looking bait. The neat thing about this one, Pete, it's got the aesthetics of a real live bug, but it has a jitterbug front to it. So I know that'll have that shimmy back and forth. I could see this working, dude, on those hatch days. I've had it happen when you can't throw anything else. They won't eat it. I can see that working. It's kind of cool.
What is it? Is this hollow body?
Hollow body, frog-style lure, but looks like a cicada.
Let me see that.
Yeah, pretty dope.
I've got one just like it.
You do?
Yeah, Brian's got me up on the this has the same jitterbug lip.
Yeah.
It's kind of a walking the dog like a Sammy.
Oh, long. Wow.
It's very long.
Who makes that?
Slim. This is a Strike Pro.
Ooh.
I've never seen one like that. It's a clear plastic jitterbug body. Very unique. Very similar to the same category you were talking about.
Wow. Interesting.
And I also got this D&L jig. D&L makes an amazing jig. They have a swim jig that I'm a fan of, and this looks like a finesse kind of flipping style jig. Very fine skirt on it.
Huh?
Really detailed, really finesse stuff. They make some good products, D&L.
DNL. Isn't
I think
DNL
that's a good one.
Isn't DNL the one that Steve Kennedy used to come in second at the Classic a few years back? The one that Jordan Lee won.
I don't know. Maybe
Thought
so.
it was. Thought he used the DNL jig.
Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
I use them to swim. They make they have a really strong line tie, and it's positioned great, and their hook is perfect for a swim jig. But this is their flipping jig. It's interesting.
There you go. Looks good. Brian Carpenter, what you got?
So we got paired up. We got a Carl's spinnerbait. So they're making their own spinnerbaits, and they hooked you up with some split tail trailers.
Oh,
the original spinnerbait trailer.
Yeah, nice long one. Yeah, I like it.
Yes,
Pretty
sir.
cool. Pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a good spinnerbait, dude.
There you have it. There you have it. Riz has a pair of dirty underwear in his box.
Yep.
Steady swiping right.
PetSmart on the PetSmart app.
Yeah, we actually checked this bait out not too long ago. I think a couple shows back. The line through.
That's dope. I like the concept. Yes, we did.
Yeah,
yes, we did. I like the concept of that.
Yeah, it's neat.
I really do. I like it. Let's go ahead and Riz, you want to get the winner of the Ike Live Facebook like and share contest? Of course, they're going to win the iconic Ike Live gift bag loaded with our sponsor products from all of them, from Mystery Tackle Box to Flambeau, Liquid Mayhem, TH Marine, Bash University Tackle Warehouse, Dr. Squatch in there.
There's a Torpedo motor in there.
Torpedo motor in there. Everything's in there. Riz, what do we got for a winner on this thing?
We have a winner, and his name is Stefan Sarachman.
Stefan!
Congratulations, Stefan Sarachman. We will be contacting you via social media to get your information.
There you have it.
Yeah. All right.
Stefan
Congrats, dude.
Sarachman. Congrats to you.
Yeah.
You win the amazing Ike Life gift bag. I got to tell you, Pete, this was a good show. I like it because, it seems like a lot of shows will have top-level bass tournament anglers on. And today we had a couple anglers that are doing tremendously well in the industry as professional anglers that are taking a little bit different routes. Robert with a kayak in the content world, and of course Christine in the tournament world through kayak fishing, trying to get even to a higher level than that. So I liked it. I liked hearing from those guys, and it was great perspective, and it is kind of a cool lifestyle. That I don't want to call it total gypsy lifestyle, but that lifestyle of being able to travel and do what you love. What a great way to live.
The passion is there. The thing that I took away from Robert was to love the climb, and he said that a few times.
Yeah,
and I noticed that when I was competing as an athlete, and even when I competed in fishing, especially, I love to practice.
Yeah,
not everybody does.
Right,
like people, in a lot of different sports. The guys that really love it, that love to practice football or baseball or boxing, whatever it is, it's their thing. That when they're putting that work in, it doesn't really seem like work because they love it, and that's what that's what I took from him. I think it's so valuable to whatever you're doing, whatever sport, whatever career you're taking on. It's definitely the deal.
Yeah,
And Christine, so many ladies showed up and are wishing her well and cheering for her, and it was pretty awesome. But her accident was something spectacular. I don't remember you being in an accident other than when you ran your boat in Louisiana up on the bank. Have you, I mean, you've put more miles on than anybody I know.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a bad situation?
I haven't. I was in one real bad car accident when I was a kid. I was a passenger in my mom's car. Outside of that, I've been, knock on wood, I've been real fortunate.
Knock on that shit.
In the auto department. But I have been in some boating incidents, the one on the bank, the getting ejected was one, getting
the Delta?
The Delta at the Delta. I have a story from Lake Okeechobee where I almost got ran over by another boat, like within a couple feet, you know.
Ooh.
So I've had those fair share of close calls, you know, like what Christine had, and does make you. It definitely makes you step back and say, you know, man, you got to be happy. You got to take one day at a time, be happy with your life, and make the most of stuff, you know, because you never know. You know, you never know. And Brian, it was a tough year for a lot of us. You had a rough year with a lot of people passing away that were close to you. Yeah. A lot of us did this year, and it does make you think about that. You know, that you want to live every day to your fullest. You know.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can remember being in a couple close calls with you back in the day. With you driving.
With me driving?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Your first truck, your first Toyota.
Oh yeah, the Yoda
SR5.
Yeah.
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 There's some pretty cat-like reactions and. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You were close, but
yeah, a couple.
So you've never been in an accident? Oh, that's not true.
No, I mean I've been in stuff like some
fender benders.
Yeah, fender benders, a couple little things, but not horrific.
No.
You know?
Well,
no, thank God.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. I know I've told it probably before. I'll do a quick one, but I was with Don Sky. You
Don
remember this
Skaluski,
story?
Hydra baby.
We're driving to the Potomac River. I'm passenger in his truck, and we're not in the all the way left lane. There was somebody passing us in the left lane on 95. There's 4 lanes north and south, and this little compact car is passing us, and we're doing 70. They're doing 80, and about the time they got next to the boat that we were towing, the driver woke up.
Ooh.
Oh.
And he woke up and saw this big rig next to him and went left, hard left at 80 miles an hour, sent his compact sideways, and he overcompensated and, you know, trying to straighten it out. And he went right and smashed right into the trailer. And we're both full speed. I'm the passenger, and like, you remember, I tell this, like when you're in school, you're watching that school bus crash video that they always show you as a kid, you know, so you're supposed to wear your seatbelt or, you know, behave on the school bus, and there's things floating around the school bus. That's what, my coffee was floating around. It was like in mid suspended air. It was like everything went into slow motion, and I'm the passenger, right? So outside of my my window, there's the boat. The car had driven the boat, pushed it all the way around, and it sent us into a 360-degree spin with a trailer attached boat. We're spinning around. It's rush hour. There's cars everywhere, and we're doing a 360 boat and truck together. And it rights it, and Don's doing like Brian just described you doing. Like, he's braking, steering, he's doing everything, trying to control. And he finally gets us, and we shoot across the median into oncoming traffic.
Oh.
And at that moment, there was no cars, and we pulled off, and you know, we're totally in shock. I went to go get help. There was no cell phone. It took me 10 minutes to get across the street because there was no break in traffic.
Wow.
But at that exact moment that we were in the oncoming, there was no cars.
Wow.
And we had a flat tire. The trailer was bent, and you know, we went fishing. We made it. Nobody got hurt. We survived it. We went down to the Potomac, and we went, and neither one of us caught a bass that day.
Wow.
Like, we were so spun out. Like, we were just glad to be alive.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yeah, that's
you know,
scary.
we never caught a fish. But that was by far the most devastating, you know. And I've seen a few fender benders. I had some craziness on the road over the years.
Yeah. That's
but
crazy.
That one was,
as you were telling the story, it's funny. I mean, it's not a funny situation, but as you were telling the story, I was like imagining, you know, as you were talking, I was putting myself in that truck and seeing your coffee like in slow motion, like in front of you. And I was imagining the other stuff that would be in Don Skaluski's cab to the truck. And I saw a Hydra spinnerbait floating in the air. And it was Pete, it was the white with the red and it had the silver tinsel in it, if you remember that one. And that was suspended. And then all of a sudden, from the left, I saw a pack of Red Man chewing tobacco suspended in the air, it's coming through like real slow. And then all of a sudden, from his dash, it was the lake. Remember the old lake maps, the New Jersey lake guides that were just like hand-drawn maps? That was like some guy just sketched it. It wasn't even real topo maps. That was coming across the front.
And the tips would be like, pickerel can be taken on live shiners and minnows. That was like the guy.
Yeah, largemouth, spinners, and cranks.
Oh my God, dude, those were the days, though. I'll tell you, we said this before on the show. Don Skaluski, shout out to Don Sky if you're watching right now. I know you're not. Don Skaluski was way ahead of his time.
Yeah.
I feel bad because he was so ahead of his time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was for our area. He was smart, dude.
Yeah.
He had his shit together.
His spinnerbait.
He had it dialed in. He had the strategies that everybody's employing now.
Yeah,
he had them figured out. But you're right. He was ahead of his time.
Ahead of his too ahead of his time.
People were like, this dude's nuts. He doesn't know.
Nope. He had books.
He knew.
He had videos. He had books. He had baits. He had a storefront. He backed it up through tournament fishing. I mean, he had it. He had good theories on the Delaware River.
He hung drywall when he wasn't.
He hung drywall when he wasn't fishing. He's a good, smart guy. Yeah.
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 It's funny. He came up with the strategy everybody's using now. Like everybody's an affiliate and they're selling tackle.
Yeah.
He was doing that crap 30 years ago.
Oh yeah. Ahead of his time. Last I heard, he was managing a what's the camping place? Camp World down in South Carolina.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the show tonight. Brian, it was a good one.
Yeah. Enjoyed it.
It was a good one. This was a fun show. Definitely want to thank our two guests, Christina Fisher, we just had on. What an awesome girl. Amazing tournament angler. Robert Field, great celebrity in the fishing world, doing some amazing stuff over on YouTube. Riz and Pete, thank you guys for making it special tonight. Brian Carpenter, pushing buttons. Thank you for cutting Dave off. That would have been a disaster. Trying to deal with his shit for two segments.
Yeah, well, like we needed him to keep saying he couldn't hear Mike. I get it. You can't hear. Like
we got to see his lights though. That was a bonus.
That was good.
Yeah.
Somehow Pete and Rich are managing, but not Dave.
Yeah.
It's all my fault.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, so before you cut, we're going to be back next Sunday.
We will.
Right?
Yes.
And we're working on guests for that. We don't have the guests lined up.
I'll tease everybody a little bit. Next Sunday, 8 p.m., working on a big guest to be announced real soon, in the next couple days, hopefully.
Yep.
It's going to be a great show.
Thursday,
BU, Pete, right? Coming up.
We got Brian Thrift lined up.
Oh, big guest.
We're going to talk some topwater fishing with Brian Thrift on Thursday.
Okay.
Yep.
Maybe a big prize giveaway on that show.
Oh,
working on that as well.
Ooh.
It's topwater time, man. It's amazing. Everybody loves it. Even Christine talked about it tonight.
She did.
It's her absolute favorite way to fish.
Everybody
so I'm excited to have that show on Thursday, and we'll dive in deep with Brian. He's amazing. So topwater time.
Last
Thursday
night I was live on YouTube last night with Smallmouth Crush, Travis Manson. And Epic Eric.
Epic.
I don't think you can find it. I think after we were done, Travis took it down because it deteriorated into a pretty sloppy, drunken mess. And I was still wearing the hangover from it, but yeah.
You can still find it on the dark web, though.
Yes, perhaps.
You got to peel through.
Found out that Travis shaves his toes.
Ooh.
Yes, he's so offended by open-toed shoes and hairy toe knuckles.
Yeah.
That he shaves his toes. He's trying to lead by example.
Huh.
Yeah, we found that out last
night.
Brian, how many days have you been live now?
It's
been like 5 or 6 straight, hasn't it?
Yeah, like four times this past week.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Live.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a crazy world. Well, there's everybody's got a podcast. Everybody's got 2 podcasts now. So what the fuck? I think there were like 5 of them tonight.
There's 5 of them tonight. Yeah.
Duncan was live going on. Yeah.
Dude, Lane Johnson even has his own podcast now. Did you see that?
No.
Oh yeah.
The Eagles.
The Eagles guy that we interviewed has his own podcast.
Podcast for everyone.
Podcast for everyone. Before we go, too, let me remind everybody one more time, if you want to catch up on old episodes of Ike Live, if you want to watch them or listen to them, lots of ways to do it. IkeLive.com, iTunes, Stitcher, and now Roku and Amazon Fire TV. So go catch up on your history lessons, especially other podcasts. You got to learn how to do it.
That's right.
See that big silence? That means that was a total lie. Riz, Pete, thank you guys. Appreciate it. See you soon. Brian the Carpenter.
Always awesome.
Thank you. Everybody have a good night. Cheers.
How's that beer tonight, Mike?
Beer was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Founders in the house tonight.
Flounders.
Good night. Good night.
Hi. Today we're going chest to chest in the Dr. Squatch lather test. On that half of Mike's impressive chest, we're rubbing him down with 3 name brand bars. The result? A sad, milky film of disappointment. How's that feel, Mike? You see, Big Soap cuts corners and strips out all the sudsy goodness in order to make production cheaper. But not Dr. Squatch. Don't worry, Mike. Dr. Squatch soap retains all the natural ingredients, which creates a rich, foamy lather, leaving your skin healthy, soft, and clean. Ooh, looks like Squatch is taking over this peck party. How do you feel now, Mike? Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. When we say it lathers, it f***ing lathers. You deserve glorious lather. Take the lather challenge for yourself today.
4.5-inch drop shot worm. Bama bug. Finesse jig, PB&J. Give me something hard. Hey, KVD here. Now, I didn't always know this much about fishing. 4-aught EWG worm hook. In fact, there was a time when I couldn't tell the difference between a jerkbait and a stickbait. But then I signed up for Mystery Tackle Box, the original monthly tackle subscription. And now I know more about fishing than I do about calculus.
And he knows a lot about calculus.
Plus, I get amazing extras like free fishing magazines. October 2016. Featured article, 4 places to throw a frog. Exclusive decals. Zombie bass. And how-to videos for all the great baits I receive. How to tune a crankbait. Is that underwater footage I smell?
I got goosebumps.
So if you're looking to develop enhanced fishing abilities like me, or you just like getting new tackle every month, go to mysterytacklebox.com and get your box today. Ooh, live minnows. Is it lunchtime already? Nature's candy. Oh. Is he in my pocket?
This time of year, I definitely recommend putting a little bit of this on your soft plastics too. There he is. Another one. Next cast. And that would be number 6. I'm addicted. I'll admit it. I'm straight addicted.
This might be bigger.
You think so?
Yeah. Feels bigger. I haven't even seen this thing yet. It doesn't want to come up. Don't break me off the rocks.
Oh, it's a... Oh!
27-incher.
He caught it.
28.
Oh my god, that's such a healthy fish. Look at this size. Put a little liquid mayhem on your crappie jig, and look where the stripers get it. You can't even see it, man. That might be a keeper.